Welcome, Dilios, Filios, Bloodios. I don't know where I was going with that. Hey,
Let's call them thumbists. That's actually a terrible idea. Please, ladies and gentlemen, what we're trying to do is welcome everybody to episode 123, 123 of Bloody Thumbs Podcast, and we're trying to think of a name for all of our dedicated fans and listeners out there who have submitted some great questions today, in fact. But besides the point, we're trying to welcome everybody to the episode, as well as think of new names for our group.
Well, rather than rack our brains on it, we'll just call them listeners.
Yeah, that sounds pretty good.
Why not?
That is a pretty darn good. It's true. They are listening right now, and if they're not, how can you know what we're talking about if you're not listening? So spot on there. They are our listeners. There are listeners. So because they're listening to us, and that's what they're doing. So yeah.
So yeah, welcome everybody. As CH mentioned earlier, this is episode 123. My goodness. Goodness.
Come a long way since those fledgling days of not knowing our PS2s from the Howdy Doos.
Exactly. And we haven't had Showbutt on. It's going to happen soon.
Don't worry. She'll be begging for us to put her on the podcast. After all, G4 is going under, so her prime source of revenue is not going to work.
So the G4 channel will be the official channel, starting, I believe, next year, early next year. The Esquire channel. If you're a subscriber to Esquire, then that is going to be the channel for you.
Wow, I'm just flabbergasted.
How good this channel's going to be?
I'm sorry?
How good this channel's going to be?
Yeah, of course, for the modern and they even quote by saying like it's for the modern metrosexual male viewer. Like they had to go out of their way. They couldn't say like the modern tidy social active male. It's like no, it's the metrosexual guys. Everyone else can just go to hell. And it's I'm still flabbergasted. Have you ever seen a channel do such a weird turnaround in terms of just putting out their changing their mission statements? I mean, the closest thing that we have is the History Channel going from History Channel like, oh, back in the 90s, it was like, oh, Civil War, or Adolf Hitler, World War II, some things about the Mayans and the American Revolution, but mostly about Adolf Hitler. And then it's like mid 2000s was like, okay, now it's all about aliens and Bigfoot. So basically, like the History Channel is almost a sci-fi channel. They're at least talking about history, which is good.
That is good. We don't get enough people talking about history as it is because we're doing to repeat it if we don't discuss it.
Exactly. And if you watch the History Channel, they have a lot of repeats of of alien invaders or whatever the hell that show is called with the guy with the crazy eraser head hair. Aliens, man. I can just imagine he's one of those guys that, tried to go to the doctor's office claiming he had back problems just for medical marijuana, just because that guy looks freaking high. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. That man is obviously under some pretty heavy medication.
Yeah, they got to be on something if they're going to be speaking such folly as they do on those History Channel programs.
Mm-hmm.
Them and the Doomsday Preppers as well, who are way too they're too worried about the apocalypse happening.
Yeah, I'm very, very interested in seeing what everybody's like. The people who believe that the world will end on December 23rd, 2012. even though the Mayan calendar predicted that the world would end 6 to 8 months ago, because it didn't factor in leap year. I'm very interested in seeing what the fallout will be like if they just like try to like shuffle it under the rug. It's like no, we never admitted that. We just said like, oh, it could happen, and yeah, like my sister, there was another doomsday warning that happened, that a doomsday date that happened earlier this year, and me and my parents were driving over to my grandma's house in Maryland, and she just decided to call us up and say like, I don't know what's going to happen in the next, like it was supposed to be like at 6 o'clock in the afternoon or something, and I don't know what's going to happen, so I love you very much. And I said, Annie, it doesn't matter what happens because it's not going to happen. So thank you very much. Thank you for calling, but damn it, you need to stop believing in these things. I love my sister to death. I absolutely do. I just think that I don't think she's ignorant. I don't think she is naive, but I think that sometimes she just believes in things that might not exactly pay off in scientific wise.
Is she a sheep? A herd? Follows the herd?
It's like she is not a sheep. I think she's an individual, very thoughtful thinker. She's very intelligent. I just think that sometimes she gets on one idea and then she won't leave it alone, despite the fact that she knows better.
Mm. Yeah, I definitely know some people like that. I was gonna ask you because the same thing happened to me
Really?
2 weeks ago, and they said, was she was she under the influence of alcohol?
Fortunately, it was just fortunately she was just the afternoon. She obviously hadn't been drinking because her speech was not slurred, or she wasn't rambling on. She just said like, I love you guys very, very much. I don't know what's going to happen. It's like, Annie, which is my sister's name, listen to me. There is nothing that's going to happen. If even the weather forecast hasn't even had a dip in the barometer or air pressure, trust me, nothing's going to happen. And nothing did happen. And then I tormented her furiously about being wrong. And so I think it's strange that there are so many people who are looking forward to the end of the world, or at least looking for the end of the world. Where how many people were thinking like, oh, when it turns 2000, then planes will fall out of the sky, nuclear bombs will go off, and that didn't happen. It's like, well, it just hasn't happened yet. And then it's like, oh, okay, yeah, whatever.
Master Wayne, some people just want to watch the world burn.
It's so bloody infuriating, just because like life is beautiful. You don't need to just look around for a reason why it'll end. Just continue looking for a reason why it'll keep spinning on. There's more reasons to, be happy about it.
The more you know, the more you know. That is the best thing I've heard ever, CH. You should be proud of yourself on that.
Oh, well, very much.
And yeah, either that or, listen to the premonition whistle theme music. That'll make your day as well. And maybe listening to some They Might Be Giants perk you up.
Oh yeah, just evil is his one and only name. That was a really fun song, even though it was in Austin Powers too, which was like it's all right movie.
I forgot about that song too. I'm pretty in key with They Might Be Giants. I got all of their albums for the most part, except the kids albums, but even those are pretty well done. Regardless, it's just catchy as hell.
Are they still together? We Might Be Giants, or are they just have they broken up and just retired now?
No, they're still doing it. I know they put out an album last year. I thought it was an all right album. I've only listened to it like once. I need to listen to it again. It takes me a while to get into some albums. I have to listen to it more than once to really decide how I feel about it. But it was fine. I prefer their older stuff. The main highlights of John Henry and with Lincoln, the Lincoln album. Yeah, I'm into the They Might Be Giants. So
that's very good. I'm you know, when you have like the Gorillas breaking up, where it feels like, wow, is there anybody left who's still patrolling? Who isn't the Rolling Stones? Like, damn it, Rolling Stones! I know you guys. Those are the guys who need to just pull on over and stop and ask for directions because it. I love you guys, but come on, you are like 85 years old, and I don't think that age should be a barrier for rocking. But just I don't know. It feels like okay, you've had like your 12th final reunion tour. That come on, just bow out and then like live in the annals of rock and roll history on a high note.
We still have Rush and Linkin Park, although we don't put them in the same category. But
Hey, you know what? In the end, it doesn't even matter. They tried so hard and they got so far. What does it matter in the end?
exactly, I still like Linkin Park. I don't know what people all of a sudden turning on Linkin Park now. I still like their older stuff, and even the new stuff is fine. Maybe because they've been oversaturated so much in some games and Transformers movies. Maybe
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
Yeah, it's well.
Music talk.
Yeah,
I like that. I I listen to a lot of stuff. Uh, I don't know where I was going with that, but yes, the Rush is still going on, so we could be still happy about that.
Oh yeah, Rush is still going on. I'm fairly well. I was about to say I was about to say that the Bare Naked Ladies were still together, but I was like, no, I forgot that Ed Robertson is still behind bars for having that case of cocaine and the hooker together. So it's a good thing that they ended before that happened.
Yeah, that's unfortunate. Uh, I was trying to think of any other bands that are still together.
Mm.
I can name some that are, but maybe not as good a quality as we've been mentioning to the past bands prior to Rolling Stones and Rush.
Yeah, well, isn't Creedence Clearwater Revival still going on?
That I'm not sure of. I can't say I keep up with that.
Yeah, but well, at least at the very most, I hope they go. ZZ Top. I think ZZ Top is still patrolling the scenes of the rock and roll history and still touring in some place.
We shall not forget the great rap rock of Limp Bizkit.
Oh, of course, Run DMC, baby. You can't really get any better than that, just because it's like, let's see, Walk This Way, and let's see, it's has there ever been a better mashup? I don't know.
Johnny Cash and Eazy-E.
Which song was that? I don't remember that one.
Well, someone put that together. They put like different Johnny Cash and Eazy-E songs together, so it's like a whole mashup thing. Mashup, as they call it, the genre of mashup, mixing up two different songs to make one complete new one.
Well, I haven't heard the one yet, so I'm gonna put that on the playlist of things to listen to.
Yes.
And speaking of things of high quality, I have to say thank you very much for sending off to me the DEF CON game.
Yeah, I figured you'd enjoy it, and it was also on sale on Steam, so I might as well get two for the price of one. Might as well.
Thank you, man. I promise to get you something as well when I get back to the States. It's because my credit card, for some reason, doesn't work on Steam internationally. It works where I can go through PayPal, but for some reason in Steam, unless I'm registered in Australia, it doesn't recognize my credit card information.
Yeah, we should definitely get into that. I did play for about an hour and a half. I really got into it. It's really colorful looking game for just a very strategy game where it's kind of in the vein of, let's say, war games, and in kind of that vein where you can control different countries and then do some warfare.
Oh yeah, the game is really addictive, despite the fact that it disguises itself as kind of a slow paced, almost like an RTS, where you're building bunkers and bases and sending your fleet off to go combat. the seafaring enemies, and then but in the end you're just wait until you guys all get up to DEFCON 1, where you just completely nuke each other, and just it's haunting. It is disturbing on some level, just because you have the sound, the really atmospheric soundtrack with like just interspersed with very like sound bites of women crying, and just like the sounds of like explosions in the background, and just like dull thuds.
It's awesome. You get little you do get little background noises, and every now and then someone coughing. I think you're like in the war room or something. Someone's like, oh, everyone's all quiet and things like that. It's very solemn and gloomy at times when you're especially when you take out. You can see how you get stats on how many people get wiped out by you in different countries. That's pretty cool, and toggle on and off the different little interfaces that is on there. You can see, like, if you zoom out all the way off the map, you can see the entire planet pretty much, and see how much the population is for like each one of them. You can see different shades of light, and it is really good. I haven't really I got to get back into that. I was playing some other stuff on the PC as well, on the FTL, that the space simulator.
Oh, cool! I haven't played that one yet. How is it?
It's pretty good. I'll get into that a little bit, but I'm enjoying the DEF CON. I gotta play some more of that. I know that there's multiplayer, so I haven't figured out exactly how. I haven't played it with anyone else yet. I've just been playing against an AI. I can't deal with more than one person in there. I don't know how anyone could figure that out. You have to spread out your different resources all over if you're going to be playing against more than one. But yeah, the tutorial was it took me about a half an hour to do, and this doesn't seem too difficult to grasp. It get pretty simple once you figure it out, but just again, it's a strategy game, so it requires some strategy there. Yeah, I was playing a game earlier, and I didn't do so hot on because I don't think I sent out one of those planes to kind of give you a kind of heads up on what's ahead of you, because you don't really get any information if there's any enemy battleships nearby or anything like that. I think you have to send out someone to kind of scout the area before you start making your move to them. And then the next thing I know, the enemy was like on the right side of Florida attacking me while I was on the other side of it. That's why I put in all my battleships on the other side of the coast. It's like, oh shit, I'm fucked.
It is one of those games where you have limited scope, and because of that, you're trying to expertly maneuver your ships around and try to establish like good military defenses. And so it's like what I did was like I put all my anti-air missile launching bases on all the corners of the country, just to cover my bases, make sure that nobody would try to nuke from the far side of the East Coast. Like, I know I'm fighting against China, but like I don't know whether or not they'll like try to send nukes over England, and then the British don't do anything about it. So it's like, okay, I might as well try over here.
Mm. Yeah, it's a hell of a lot of strategy to it, and I haven't quite played enough of it to kind of grasp how everything works. But I've only beaten the AI once, but that's pretty much about it. Because I think the way to win is you have to get a certain amount of points more than your opponent until I guess there's nothing left, pretty much, and then I think they get some sort of timer. I don't know how that gets initiated, and this is like a certain set time, and then once that's over, whoever has the highest score wins the game. But it is goddamn good. It really looks nice, very colorful. There's all sorts of colors going on, and it's a nice little kind of war simulator.
Yeah, it's. What I'm not a big fan of like RTS games or these kind of almost godlike games where you're managing an army and you're going off against other countries, that you never really get a sense of the struggle that's going on the ground, just because you have such a removed presence in the game. But fortunately, the game backs us up with like incredible there's something disturbing about the fact that it boils down losses to like a number of lives, and it's like, oh wow, I killed 4.5 million people, and I'm still going on. And the only thing that's reminding you of is just in the soundtrack, they're like occasionally just people talking in the background or people crying, or and it's something that it works really, really well for the game.
Yeah, the soundtrack and just whatever other sounds that's going on in the game is what really sets it apart from a lot of other strategy games where you just don't get a lot of the emotion when it comes to your actions and the things that is going on in the struggle that's kind of going on between two conflicting forces. But I don't really play a whole lot of strategy games, but this one is pretty uh, can be pretty addicting to get into and not too overwhelming.
Mm-hmm.
And I like how you can control the time as well, because I kind of at the beginning I start off at a slow pace, and then when I start sending out my ships, that's when I can fast forward so they can get to the destination faster. But I don't know how that exactly would work in multiplayer if you can control kind of the time span that elapses. Because if we were to play that game on just a regular real time, that'd be take quite a while, but it would definitely be pretty immersive.
Are you kidding me? I mean, just if you actually played the game, that would last longer than the actual Cold War going on.
Yeah, goddamn. But yeah, it's worth checking out. DEF CON. That game came out like a couple of years ago. I thought this. It looks like I thought it was
2006, I
yeah,
think.
2006. I thought it came out this year, but no, it was a nice little bundle on Steam for like $2.
Nice.
Pretty awesome game if you can get it on Steam or other sources. I think it's on Good Old Games as well, but for whatever price, it's I think it's like regular price is like $9-10, but well worth it. Well worth it. And I've been also playing the FTL. This is like a spaceship simulator. It kind of reminds me of if you're. I think you'd enjoy it if you're like Star Trek or Battlestar Galactica. Kind of has that feel to it where you can have a certain number of people on your ship, and it's like a top-down view. You can see them. The different areas to the ship that require kind of care if they get hit by anything, and require one of your crews to go there and fix it. While you have these space battles going on, and at the beginning of the game, you're kind of tasked to get some vital information for your side of kind of the Federation, in order to kind of warn them that some big other opposing force is coming their way. So you're just kind of tasked with getting from one sector of the galaxy to the other, which is pretty interesting. And it's if you die, you die. You gotta have to start from the beginning. So it's like one of those permadeath type of games, and yeah, it requires of a lot of just luck and skill at times too, because sometimes in each kind of sector you can do some quests and get additional scraps, as they call it, kind of the currency in the game, where you can purchase upgrades for your ship, or you can purchase crew members, which would make it a lot easier for you, and so you can have them move around the ship and make sure things are all sitting all nice and dandy. And sometimes you run into enemies as well, where you can start attacking each other, and once you beat them, you can get some items out of it too. And it's just like very random as well. If you can definitely run into some people who help you out, and some others that will just shoot you on sight, as kind of different kind of pirates all over the place. And you find kind of one ship at a time, and you can hit vital parts of the ship, it will make it easier for the ship to go down. Like the engine room, you can take out if you have enough. If you shoot them out at a good amount of strategy to it, you can take out the ship that way, and instead of having to wait for the health bar on there to go down all the way, you can just take out their engines, and the whole thing will blow up. So that's pretty cool. And the enemy, you can invade other ships as well, and the enemies can do the same too. And I've had that encounter a couple times where they have them board your ship, and then you got to send your crew members down there to get them out of there and beat them up and kill them, so that it is really really good. Interesting little space spaceship combat simulator. It's really addicting too, and
Cool.
yeah, I really dig it. It's got a nice little soundtrack, and you can personalize the names of your crew too. So I just I put you in there, and I put in some other people I know, and then
Did you make me a janitor?
no, not a janitor. You were flying the ship, and then and I mean there's so much to it. This for this thing. It's a I think it's an indie title, like a Kickstarter earlier this year, and got put out sometime around 2 or 3 months ago. And yeah, you can control various parts of the ship. You can like open doors. You can kill your whole crew with just by opening all the doors and taking all the oxygen out.
I
And
assume that's what my character did, where he's just like, "Oh, I wonder what this button does," and like kill everybody in the room. It's like, "Ooh, better not report this."
yeah, fortunately that isn't the case. I'm the one that usually can control the whole everything that's going on and all the movements of characters. So it's one of those kind of strategy games where you can it's everything's happening in real time and you can pause to kind of get things kind of get your strategy going and because it can get really overwhelming. So I mean, an opposing ship could take out your shields and then they start shooting vital parts of the ship. I mean, they could shoot down the room where the oxygen is getting flowed through, and if you don't take care of that, everyone dies because there's not enough oxygen. You gotta send your crew down there to take out the fire and repair the oxygen room. And if enemies get in your ship, you're gonna have to send some other crews to beat them up and you can kill them. And it's just a lot of management. And sometimes and early on, you only get like 3 people to start with. So if you get far enough into it, that's when they start sending in some rogue enemies in your ship, and it can get a little you get overpowered pretty easily. But there's a whole hell of a lot to it, and you can go to different stores to purchase upgrades and things like that to the ship, and it's a really fun little strategy game in space.
Well, I got to look that up because that sounds right up my alley. I love flight games that involve the ability to be in a spaceship, and I especially like the fact that I can name all my crew members. So I will name all of them. I'll name all of them Bob, and see how much confusion will ensue.
Bob, go that way, Bob.
Where it's like well, I asked Bob. It's like well, me and Bob went to go see Bob and see how Bob was doing, but Bob wasn't doing too well, so we just went up and went to go talk to Bob for a little while.
Yeah, that's just
No problems there.
it's really cool. You can name a ship too as well. I named mine the Normandy. That's my first ship I started off with, and then having
Nice.
myself and CH as the crew members there, and I put Christopher Walken as janitor.
Nice. Oh man, the only thing that I really can't imagine a better team unless for some reason you managed to get Steven Seagal as like the navigator.
I should have, but unfortunately, from what I've played, when you purchase newer crew members, you can't name them. So they already have like set names to them when you purchase them, which is a shame.
Oh, that's stupid.
Yeah, we could definitely have used the skills to take out some of the invaders that get in our ship and start busting shit up. Because if you don't attend to those rogue enemies that get inside your ship, they start attacking vital parts of your ship, like sometimes the engine room or the oxygen room. Yeah, and yeah, there's just so much to it, and I mean, there's different parts of the ship as well that have some key part in your survival to finish your goal. The med bay and things like that. You got to keep that. You got to make sure that doesn't go to shit because you won't be able to um, give your crew members health back if they ever get into combat or get hit by something during battle. It's really pretty damn good.
Well, I tell you, I have been just getting myself excited with anticipation just because in a couple of days I'll be heading back to the good old US of A. I gotta tell you what, I love it here in Australia, and I loved being one with nature and just enjoying. I did some camping. I did a bit of bushwalking. I went to Bundina and Cronulla and just it was so much fun. I also realized to myself, damn it, I want to play Hitman Absolution and all these other games that I can't play just because I'm not in my home country.
I know you got plenty to keep yourself busy, and January is going to be another new year of slew of games that's going to be added on top of that as well. So
I can't wait. And also,
wish you the best of luck on that. Yeah,
oh,
I got to show you the picture of what the game looks like, because just if you look at it, it just looks completely overwhelming with so much stuff to keep track of. But once you start playing it and get used to it, it can be not as overly overwhelming as it looks in this picture.
alrighty. You've just sent me this image, so I shall look at it.
Yeah,
And
that's what the game
oh
looks
dear
like.
God, that is a lot of text.
So you can see the top. I know this is not very good for the radio, as I say, but I'll probably put a link in the show notes. But and you can see in the top left right there, that's what they call the hull, which is kind of the health bar for your entire ship.
Hmm.
The bottom of that, you get the shields. You get to see the status of your shields. And more in the bottom of that, you can see your percent of oxygen that's left on your ship, and all the names of the crew members, and if you can see in the kind of the left side of inside the ship, you can see that the rogue enemies are attacking the oxygen room, and you can see right in the middle, right there are two crew members fighting off two other enemies in there, while the other guys are in the oxygen room. So it it's really goddamn addicting, man. You can see the weapons down there, and there's so many different weapons you can attain, and definitely the one to get is the heavy ion weapon, which can disable your enemy shields for a certain amount of time, while giving you the opportunity to shoot down some vital areas of the ship. Because sometimes with a shield, it won't do it much damage if you shoot a ship that has their shields on. So it's pretty tactical to take out the shields first.
Hmm.
And you get the FTL drive up there, jumping from section to section in the galaxy, and running
This
it.
looks like a pretty interesting game. I'm not gonna lie, man. Just I this kind of seems like right up my alley, even though I'm not a big strategy game person. This definitely seems like the kind of game that I would find addicting.
Yeah, it's really good. You can, it's not too overwhelming because you can pause the game and kind of click on specific parts that you want to do and actions you want your crew members to do without it being too overwhelming, and then unpause it and they'll start doing it. So
Awesome.
yeah, cool, interesting little quests given to you every now and then, and that give you some nice rewards and upgrades to the ship. And as I mentioned before, it's the game has permadeath, so if you die, you're gonna have to start from the beginning. But it does add in a lot of kind of being strategic and
Strategery.
trying to survive. Because sometimes you'll run into different ships where they'll kind of hail you down and say, "Hey, can you help me?" And then sometimes be they'll be it'll be cool, and other times they'll attack you all of a sudden. It's like, oh shit, I can't have this. My ship's like in the middle of I got like 75% left of my health. I can't do this. You just got sometimes have to avoid people and say, I'm sorry, I can't help you, or say we're just gonna leave. And other times they'll be really cool and they'll help you out. But sometimes it's kind of that thing, you can't trust everybody. Sometimes there are some good people there, and other people that wants to take a shit and things like that. And you can find
Red Dead Redemption style.
Yeah, it's like the whole Wild West in this space opera that is FTL.
Old Wild West space.
Yeah, it you can definitely also, like I said, it's random too, and you find abandoned ships and find some people in there, and sometimes they'll be cool when you take them in as a part of your crew, and other times they'll freak out and start tearing shit up. Kind of have to boot them out.
Is it just like, oh wow, these are some nice drapes. I don't like the painting style though, and then like they'll start ripping stuff. It's like, listen, we gotta toss you out the airlock, man. We don't like the fact that you don't appreciate our art style.
Yeah, a little bit like that. So they go into little details, like this person has been in the ship for a while. Should we take him in? Is it safe? Because his psychological mental health could be in question, but his health is all right. So you kind of have to decide whether you want to take him with you or not. And sometimes they'll be all right, and sometimes they'll start tearing shit up in your ship, and that's when you gotta take him out.
Well, that is there like a slap the sense out of these people like button?
Not that I've noticed. It's kind of like I said. It's pretty random with some of the encounters you'll have, so it's very hard to say. It's not very predictable game when it comes to encounters with other ships.
I got you. I mean, that is very interesting. That does provide a sense of kind of not being able to guess kind of what in the world these people are going to do. I mean, you never know if they'll just like decide like, oh, we'll help you, or it's like, oh, I've got space crazy rabies, and so yeah,
exactly. Yeah, it's definitely worth checking out if you're into space, sci-fi, strategy games. Space. So yeah, that's what I've been playing. Also, I might as well mention this since we're on the subject. I did play and finish Still Life. I did mention this a while back. I purchased this on goodoldgames.com, which is it's a point-click detective murder mystery game where you play as a FBI agent by the name of Victoria McPherson, and then you start off the game with finding a dead gal in the game, your first crime scene, and early on you get a little sense of how the game's gonna be played out through, for the most part, doing some fingerprint.
Now is it? I'm sorry for interrupting, but is it a dead gal or a dead dame?
Dead dame? No, it's not.
Oh, even better.
No, it's just it takes place in I think around present Chicago, so around Christmas Eve. So,
ooh,
and it gives you a little sense of what you're going to be doing throughout the game by doing some detective things, taking pictures of the crime scene, lifting off some fingerprints and blood samples and all that happy horse stuff, and this little. It has a pretty decent plot, and really I thought they did really good characters and dialogue too. I think that Victoria has some really good lines and little comedy relief moments as well, which is really cool, and it's some interesting puzzles too. So it's a pretty traditional point and click game, and a lot of things to advance what's going on. It's just like solving puzzles and things like that, and trying to find out who this killer is, and after she kind of unwinds at her dad's house, her dad gives her a journal that from her granddad, and then she starts reading the journal, and then everything that I think he used to be a detective too, and he was following up on a case that had the similar things going on that Victoria's going through about just a bunch of women being drowned and then stabbed to death and things like that, and she starts looking into it much further and end up finding out it's kind of a copycat killer and things like that. And we also switch back and forth between her and her granddad in like around the 20s or 30s, like the early 1900s. And
so here we have dames.
Dames.
What nice gams.
Yeah, I think it takes place around Prague. Isn't that I forget what Prague is. Is it around the Czech Republic? Yeah, something like that. I don't know geography. I didn't pass.
I don't know geology.
I'm no geologist.
I don't know my geometry.
Yeah, so you play as Victoria's granddad as well, and switch back and forth between them every time she reads a little snippet of the journal, and you start to find out more things about what's going on with the case through that, and also another great character of Gus McPherson too. Victoria's granddad is really good characters too. So yeah, it's worth checking out. I got that on Good Old Games. It's a nice little point-click adventure game that has some nice 3D graphics to it and really kick-ass soundtrack as well. From the beginning of the game, you can already get into it with this kind of epic opera playing in the beginning with just this different CGI cutscenes in the beginning of the game, and it really kind of terrifying serial killer that walks around with a cape and a top hat. That's
Ooh,
pretty freaky, and some kind of
the gentleman thief.
weird opera mask. Gentleman killer, yes.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that's worth checking out.
I am glad that that there are still point and click adventure games being offered up, and especially nowadays, kind of with the Walking Dead sort of reinvigorating point and click adventure games, or at least giving the impression that okay, now point and click adventure games they're not your daddy's point and click adventure games, and yeah, so it's like all these traditionally really interesting puzzle based and detective kind of games. I'm really looking forward to, and I'll look it up on a Good Old Games. I certainly hope they have a Mac version of this because I don't have a PC, so that's unfortunate.
Yeah, I'm not really sure if it's on the Mac, but yeah, that came out a while back. I think around 2005. It was like the developers of Siberia and Siberia 2 and other games of that nature.
Oops, I haven't heard about them in a while.
Yeah, I think that game in particular, I really dug, and I don't know if I'll play the sequel, but the first one was Still Life was pretty damn good,
I also heard that Gabriel Knight's Sins of the Father was actually a pretty good point and click adventure game. So I definitely want to be back home so I can get a lot of video games played on my 360. Just because all the people who have a 360 are now kind of on vacation right now, and I don't really have access to anything at this point in time. And also, there's just that video games are a little bit more expensive over here, where they they definitely have their ups and downs, and unfortunately over here they're a bit more expensive. So I don't really know what to do in terms of just in terms of just like getting games. So it's I am looking forward to going back home.
Yeah, that's probably your best option here for the console games. I don't know how much the prices vary from here in Australia, but you've partaken in a good amount of kind of PC gaming in that PC gaming realm, and there are definitely a hell of a lot of good sales and just overall pretty good experience with that. I mean, I've endeavored in a lot of other kind of PC games I probably wouldn't have played if there wasn't really that much to play, because I was really into a lot of different PC games during the month of I forgot what month it was of this year, but there was nothing out for consoles. Mm-hmm. But I really got into that and really want to partake in Hotline Miami. I did, yeah, I'm playing that too. Shit, man, I'm stuck on one level. I'm in the last level and I'm stuck at that part.
Yeah, you gotta get into like that zen zone of being able to like, okay, I gotta hit this guy with a hammer, then use this guy's gun over here, and God help me if there's an attack dog. And
dogs, fucking dogs, the most overpowered thing in the game, almost.
I'm so glad that there actually is a mask that helps you, make sure that dogs don't actually attack you. So.
Yeah,
they try to look at that one.
What's your go-to mask? I use the tiger mask because that can kill anyone with a punch in one hit. I go with the tiger.
I usually favor guns, so I'm I invest heavily in the the gun. I'm sorry, the mask that gives you more ammo for your gun.
Oh yeah, the guns I don't mind the guns. Hey, throw me a gun, I'm good. But I'm kind of shitty with my aim in that game with the guns, and I only use the guns like if there's like two dudes left, and even then I try not to risk it because I ended up fucking up one time with I had two dudes left in one room, and I went in there, guns blazing, and I missed them completely. And then one guy shot me. He was on the couch and just whipped out a shotgun and shot me. Like, God damn it! But I mean, if you're good enough with the guns, and it's definitely an option. Definitely an option. You can definitely attract a whole group of people, and you start mowing them down with a gun. And I know there's one mask where you can get a gun at the beginning, like a silencer gun in the beginning, the level. That's a good one too. But like I said, I'm not that good of a shot, so I stick with the kind of more melee, breaking down doors and killing guys that are knocked out.
Yeah, even with a mouse and a keyboard, it is sort of hard to aim your gun, especially like with like the assault rifle and the shotgun. You never know if you're doing the spray and pray method of just like, oh, I really hope I hit something, or else this entire room's going to be alerted to my presence, and it's going to be nothing but trouble for me for here on out.
Yeah, that shotgun spray can be very very useful at times. Sometimes can be the bane of my existence. Oh yeah. I didn't even see a guy, and he shot me from across the room with just like a one little pellet of the gun just shot me.
Yeah, I am interested to see what the sequel is going to be. Apparently, they had DLC, which was like almost twice as long as the actual game, but apparently they're saying like, okay, screw it, we're just gonna make a full-fledged sequel.
Yeah, they went the Saints Row route, which seems like a good decision for the most part. I think it's gonna, with a lot of attention's being drawn to it lately, and I think it's definitely gonna do well with a sequel. I really enjoy the hell out of it. It's one of the best soundtracks of this year. I gotta say right now.
Yeah, all of it's licensed, right? None of it is in-house or.
I don't quote me on it, but I think most of the songs are licensed. And I think there might be one or two that are for the game, if I'm not mistaken. I could be wrong, but for the most part, most of them are licensed. I tried posting a video on YouTube on it and got flagged for it, but not flagged, but got a little acknowledgement. But hey, this song is not yours, but hey, you can put it up there. It's like, all right, I can't monetize it, but all right, that's fine by me, YouTube. But nevertheless, it's definitely worth checking out, people. There are definitely a hell of a lot of sales for it every now and then. The lowest price I've seen it for is like $5 on Steam. Highlight Miami.
It is a hell of a game, and I'm absolutely floored that we live in an age where a game of that quality is just $5. And we have these incredible sales on Steam where these once games that were either easily $60 are now just like either $7 or like for instance the orange box for Steam and PS3 and for the Xbox 360. I saw a sale the other day that was about for $8. So you get the original Half-Life Episode 1, Episode 2, Portal, and Team Fortress 2 all together. And that's incredible, just for the amount of quality that you get for all those games. And you have freeware games too, like such as Charles Barkley's Shut Up and Jam Gaiden, which is just damn, that is a brilliant game, brilliant. And I'm more than happy to set up an episode where we just talk about that. And
hoops.
Hoops. I was like,
I did
just like Maureen.
Maureen. Yeah, I did a quick sort of let's play on it. I've been doing this video series every now and then called Games to Play During the Gaming Drought. I did a couple minutes on that. I did a couple minutes on that and did my Oscar-winning Charles Barkley impersonation.
Did you also try to golf as well? Because that would have been a great image, just like of you, just like trying to set up like the putter or the driver. It's like, I can't. Almost got it. Nope, not yet. Almost got it. Nope. I'm just gone.
Yeah, I was like going back and forth with voices, and sometimes I'd messed up on one, and have Hoops' voice as Charles Barkley because I forgot to change my voice. Like, oh crap! I was really
saying all black people sound the same?
No.
Come on, Splinter. I thought we were cool, man. I thought we were tolerant around here.
Well, things slip. You can't keep everything secret forever. But
yeah, but Yeah, I am more than happy to donate to the sequel on Kickstarter. And ladies and gentlemen, I suggest that you do too, just because you will not regret supporting such a incredible endeavor. Just because I am just I'm still amazed at how much quality can go into that game. And also, speaking of free games, for those of you out here who are first-person shooter fans who may or may not have access to more shooters. Like if you're interested in seeing kind of where, if you're interested in seeing where some of the bigger guys have started off, like please go check out Bungie's marathon games, where there's like Marathon Infinity, Marathon Durandal, and it is certainly just an absolutely fantastic first person shooter that's. It's surprisingly well made, especially, and it still holds up to this very day. And I am just still incredibly amazed just at the quality of it. So I would recommend checking out those for first person shooter fans.
Fantastic. Well, I wanted to go back to a little bit on Charles Barkley Shut Up and Jam.
Of course.
Since the Kickstarter was announced not too long ago, and they met their goal of 35,000 in like less than a day, which I pitched in myself for $10 as well for the game. That gives you a digital download of the game when it comes out, which I can't wait. And it's had a good turnout so far. They got like 70,000 so far out of way exceeding their initial pledge of 35,000, and they have this other things going on with their stretch goals. They have different little things that they'll add to the game if they reach a certain amount in the Kickstarter, and just even the whole synopsis of the Kickstarter is hilarious in and of itself. And they even showed off some interesting gameplay too. It's going to be more of a kind of
action RPG,
RPG, yeah. Which sounds interesting. I mean, the best things about the game might not be in it, like the just taking of the sprites from different games and just this random use of the basketball star's face. But that, I think, even though that probably won't be in this one because it's going to be a release title, it's still going to be fantastic to play regardless, because they have such talented writers there.
Oh yeah, it's so incredible just how funny and really just honestly just incredible comedy writings that they have in here, where they have absolutely just this incredible handle on how to take this story, give it moments of absolute humor, which is the whole thing's a parody of like post-apocalyptic genre, and of course just making a serious quote unquote sequel to Space Jam, and it just works. I don't know why, but it's like okay, they make it so serious, but they manage to in the end just make it incredible. Like there are moments that actually tug at your heartstrings.
Definitely, and just looking at all these different rewards you get by placing a certain amount of money of the Kickstarter it's just great. And one of the funny ones is the Cyberdorf body pillow.
Yeah, I don't. For those of you who do want to buy that one, you are probably going to be the only people in America who can look at that and just not have terrible, horrendous nightmares at night.
It's not as creepy as the Catherine pillow sheets.
Oh yeah.
So that's saying something.
Well, it's Catherine, so frankly, Atlas kind of has a very just a stranglehold on the market of like creepy, weird, sexy things. So good on them for that.
Yeah, one of the highest ones on here, which I've considered pledging, was $10,000 or more. They have lunch with pictures of the developers plus all previous rewards, but the interview, the ultimate reward of the Tales games biggest fans. We will send you pictures of every developer in Tales of games for you to have lunch with. Tell them your great game ideas or how much you like Barkley. No kissing on the lips. You are responsible for the cost of lunch.
they are like right up there with Double Fine and like Ron Gilbert in terms of just like making like such hilarity with the video game medium. Gosh, I really can't imagine a funnier company out there right now, especially when they're so self-aware and everything's just so well written.
Yeah, it's just goddamn hilarious. So it's
Or as Charles Barkley would say, "Get damn hilarious."
goddamn. I know, I know they also for the Barkley 2, they already went over their stretch goals for they're gonna have the sequel for that. They're gonna have a Mac port for that as well. And recently they just released the Mac port for the first game, which is nice.
Yep.
For the Mac users.
Fortunately, I was able to get it working on Wineskin just because I was really looking forward to the game, and fortunately, it's actually it ran really smoothly on Mac with the Wineskin update. So no worries there. So
nice, yeah. How far are you on the game?
I've reached the end, although I want to go back and replay it just because I know for a fact that there are no library cards. There are no 4 library cards. That is a lie. Do not listen to them. They're liars.
Yeah. I realized that after looking through some various sources. It's like, God damn it. I want to talk to you about the ending, but I don't want to say too much without spoiling it. I think that we could save that for a separate Barkley episode. I'd definitely like to do that. It's a rare occasion that we do some reviews or discussions on games, but this one definitely deserves one.
Oh yeah, this game warrants an episode all of its own.
Yeah, I got to ask you about something at the end, but we'll save that for another day or after we're done recording. But other than that, I don't know if you want to take a quick break or continue on.
I will actually. I'm just going to take a quick break to refill my cup, and then I will be right back.
All right, that sounds good.
We will be right back, just because I am very egotistical and I do not count my partner in this, and so yeah. So we shall be right back in just a moment.
All right, we'll be right back. I got to stretch out the ass bone.
Gotcha. The most tender bone.
Yeah.
Studiato, testato, sperimentato.
And welcome back, ladies and germs. Part 2 of the CH Splinter Saga.
Yes, indeed.
So yeah. Nice to hear you beating Barkley. Shut up and jam Gaiden.
Oh, it was my pleasure, just because towards the end it doesn't get too difficult because you level up pretty quickly, especially if you decide to go and just take care of kind of like the optional monsters in the dungeons and the side characters, and you got a lot of boost stats, and you go after like secret items that really help you level up. But it's so enjoyable.
Yeah, the near the end there aren't really difficult enemies to face. The only way I can see you kind of failing at that if you don't purchase the necessary items and things like that, like ecto coolers and just different items that cure ailments, because sometimes enemies will kind of just do moves that'll give you the diabetes, and that's gonna affect your stat bonuses there and things like that. So that traditional kind of RPG thing of kind of resource management and making sure that your crew is all well and dandy. But
and
it's all good. I like everything about it. What am I saying?
I have to say that I never thought of it before, but it seems very, very logical that alcohol would cure Asperger's.
Yeah, who would have thought?
I had never thought it. Maybe I need some alcohol.
Let's all take a toast to that.
Yes, indeed. It is. Right until the very end, it's such a brilliant game that it uses all the conventions and genre tropes of RPGs. It just turns them on their head, and it right to the very end, it still is playing with the character on some like, oh, you need to next time you should try to collect this thing, or like, oh, you almost got this, like you should try next time. It's like, but in the end, it's like, not really, and it really has a fine understanding of what works in a video game and just why it has its own magic about it. It's self-aware, but it's not just pointing at how self-aware it is. It actually takes the time to build characters and a story and a universe that you give a damn about. Like, if it was just a nonsensical universe where things were just happening, then, like, for instance, like in Retro City Rampage, where it's just a bunch of references, you really wouldn't care. Just because, like, okay, if anything can happen, then what stakes are there? But, like, with this one, with Charles Barkley Shop and Jam Gaiden, it is just, it does establish a universe, a story, and because of that, you can take, like, the humor is so much more funny just because of the drama in it as well.
It does a lot of things right, and I think that's what stands out that more than most games that are not either freeware or free to play or just games in general. I think a lot of developers can learn from this game, to be honest.
Yeah, it's obviously just, a lot of the sprites are just reused animations from reused character models and animations from older Super Nintendo games, and it's especially obvious, like with Hoops, as you were saying, there was Streets of Rage, and like for instance, there's this one level which just like the entire background is just a single picture of a basketball with like psychedelic purple lines behind it. Like that's it. That's the entirety of the level. Like, okay, it's obviously it was obviously done on a dime store budget, but it just like there's so much imagination and love going into it that you can overlook all of that just to enjoy everything.
My goodness, you went into the b-ball dimension, didn't you?
I did go into the b-ball dimension, and you know what? I would happily go back into it.
Oh my God, there's one other thing that happens in that game. Well, we've spoken so much about this game. I don't know how people could not resist the urge to play this. There's another thing out of the blue, which is just surprisingly amazing as well. Involving Cyberdwarf.
Yeah, Cybernet goes on to it's like Cyberdwarf has his own like little dating mini game. Who thought that would be like something that needed with like, okay, so we got these core mechanics. Like, what do we do? I know, let's put a dating simulator in there. All right, let's do that. We got about 5.
Yeah, did you do everything right and get that kiss for the Cyberdwarf near the moon?
Oh, it is so crazy, just of how much detail and how much content that they pack into this game, and it's content that you just want to keep on exploring over and over again, and just enjoying, just because of the fact that they took the time to carve out these little sections of that, like stuff that you wouldn't even encounter in a mainstream game. Like for instance, you're writing poetry for the snail guy in the underground sewers, and it like who would ever think that would be a good thing to put into an RPG? Like that's not in a Final Fantasy game. Like where is the Final Fantasy game where I can play as Cloud, writing poetry for a frogman? Like where is that?
Yeah, normally I wouldn't even be down with that in any other kind of RPG game, and Charles Barkley is right down the alley with me. Like it's like fuck this shit, let's get out of here. I don't want to deal with these animal people and writing damn poetry, and then he's just kind of rushing to make that the poetry lines and things like that with Balthios and Vince Borg.
Oh, Vince Borg, we love you so.
Yeah, just superb. We gotta definitely do an episode on that one day. Which to be fair on the game, the gameplay is good and simple, but a lot of what's really to talk about in the game is just like the story arcs and everything that happens in the game, which is everything all good. The writing and the music, even the music is good too.
Yeah, it everything works. Just everything is in sync with each other, and the ending, I have to say, it really made me laugh. Just of how I don't even want to talk about it until we get to the episode, but I just want to say it is one of those endings where it's like, okay, that just put a smile on my face that you can't chisel off.
It is something that sparks the argument. Are video games art? Yes, they are.
There's also something weird about the fact that they keep on switching aesthetics. Like sometimes they'll just like have like very well rendered faces for like character dialogue where they're on like the top corner where like an actual picture of like Charles Barkley or Joanna Mann, and then they'll have like these low quality MS Paint like sprites that they obviously like made in an afternoon, just like post up there as well. Like wow, that is crazy.
Oh yeah. Some of the stuff you collect and things like either letters or something like that. Some of them are just like written in MS Paint, which is funny.
Yeah. God, and like with the golden potato, that was great right there.
Yes. Superb. I gotta replay that again in Victorian steampunk mode. Is that little feature you unlock after you beat the game? I don't know if you noticed it, but I played a little bit of it, and they changed the names to kind of regal, and they changed some of the look of the characters that look more like regal steampunk.
Yeah, I did see that. I have not played a new new playthrough just with the regals with the regal steampunk stuff. So yeah, I guess just to reference that, Charles Barkley was once called Sir Charles, I suppose.
Yeah, I've only played like a couple minutes of it, and yeah, they do call him Sir Charles. We see his name in this picture. It says Sir Charles Barkley. I don't know what they call hoops, but I gotta play some more to find out actually. But definitely worth a look, and definitely something to play through. Watch someone play is pretty good as well.
It's yeah, it's please, like if you haven't played the game, please pick it up, enjoy it, and even if you just started and don't mind us spoiling it for you, please come on over when we're recording the episode and just listen to us ramble on about how much we love it.
Yeah, regardless, even though we kind of gone into a lot of kind of spoiler-esque discussions on it, there's definitely a lot more to it that we didn't talk about, and that are just once you see it, and it's just hilarious and unexpected. And even the things we talked about are really good, but even if seeing it in action, it's just adds just another layer of awesomeness to it. And it's certainly a game that must be played to be believed. Can't stress that enough.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Yeah. Charles Barkley is one of those things where it's like I'm really glad that these exist, just because you just see the love and dedication that people have to this craft, and you'll be floored at how few people there are on this project, because it seems like it would require a lot more people, and the people that they have in there, just like they must have been working their butts off for this one.
Yeah, I don't know the whole story on it, but I do know that I know there's like less than 5 people working on it. I think worked on that. I know they have more people for the sequel. I think an additional, I think less than 20 or about 10 people, if I'm not mistaken. But even then, that's still not as much as other studios and things like that, little indie developers. But they pump out a good free quality product with Barkley Shopping Jam Guide, and I gladly pay for that game more than once.
Oh yeah, it is. It certainly is one of those games that like no one should ever have an excuse not to play.
No, it's not. I mean, it's not difficult and it's not boring. It's just this. From the beginning. If you're not hooked on that beginning with the voiceover from Charles Barkley, I don't know. Well, I don't know what's gonna attract you to the game. If you're into, if you're just into like basketball, it appeals to so many different various groups of people, and if you're a fan of comedy in general, I think it's definitely worth a playthrough of that. Certainly one of the funniest games I played in a long time.
Oh yeah.
So, I'm sorry, what were you gonna say?
Oh, no, I was agreeing with you. Absolutely.
Absolutely. So, truthfully. So the VGAs happened yesterday. I think I think the best thing to come out of that was the watching Jonathan Holmes, Jim Sterling, and Conrad Zimmerman do a live stream during that event, and that was a pleasant thing to watch. I was watching them mostly than the VGAs itself, but I will say that it was less terrible than last year's, but it's still not something I'd recommend anyone watch. But I'd say that the nominees and winners of that was surprisingly not embarrassingly rigged or just there to appeal to a certain crowd or sponsor, as I will say. But they also during the stream they were drinking some Mountain Dew as well.
Good on them for that. I did not see the live stream just because I think it was very late at night over here, and I also just didn't want to bother with VGAs. I would discuss it in the morning just because VGAs for me they're basically just like, okay, it's just self-masturbatory in terms of what they wanted to celebrate, as well as just the fact that half of it is just like a big trailer session. A big trailer session for what's coming up next, and I got the internet for that. I got YouTube for that. I don't want to sit through god awful dude bro commentators just going like, oh yeah man, this game looks awesome, and so I took the next best thing of just like looking at the trailers that were released as well as the winners, and I was really surprised that they actually decided to go with The Walking Dead as Game of the Year, whereas I think Walking Dead is certainly. Thing is, I don't know whether or not Walking Dead is Game of the Year. It's definitely a contender, but I haven't played a lot of games. I haven't played any new games since July on 360 consoles. Like no Assassin's Creed, no Halo 4, no Borderlands 2 or Dishonored. So for this, for me, I have a pretty limited scope of what I have here, and so Game of the Year, Walking Dead, I can respect that. That's definitely what. I'm not sure if I agree with it just because I have a very limited knowledge, but I'm very happy with that choice just because that game definitely is an immersive experience. It is something that tugged on my heartstrings, and so many good characters and story, and it just had a complete cycle of, oh my gosh, this is such a good game and a story, and it's wonderful, and I can't wait for the season 2 to come out.
Yeah, that's fine. I haven't played it, so I need to check it out before the end of the year. I'm probably going to pick up the retail disc version of it. It has all the episodes bundled up
Oh,
for the 360. So for $30, which is good. I'd figured they try to nickel and dime us for an extra $10 because each episode is $5, so there's only like 5 episodes, so that
$25.
$25, an extra $5 for the retail version.
Oh yeah.
Cover the cost of the disc in the case, so I'll let it slide on that one.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, it'll probably have a nice case too, but yeah, The Walking Dead is really, it is the best thing in the Walking Dead franchise, in my opinion. But it's not as nihilistic as the comic books. It's not as devoid of a lot of character development as the TV show. But it's the best of both worlds, while also maintaining a lighthearted side to it that both seem to forget. Like there's actually a good amount of humor in there. That's not just like incredibly dark humor.
Yeah, I like me some dark humor, so.
Well, I'm saying like the dark humor's there, but it's there's also a lot of lighthearted humor as well. Where there's moments of just like of genuine character befuddlement or just jokes that are to be had, like even in this post-apocalyptic setting, which there are a few instances where it's like, oh, okay, why would you be kind of lighthearted in this point of time? But I like the fact that they're not just they're not overbearing. They're not beating the crap out of you with just this dark sense of humanity that you'll never recover from, which actually makes it a lot more heartfelt than something like the comic books, because the comics are so dark that you really can't ever trust anything good to happen just because something bad's going to happen right afterwards. Whereas this one, bad things happen as well as good things, but they don't automatically correlate. Like something good will happen, and then something afterwards that will happen is not entirely bad. Or if it's just something that happens. It's not just like, oh, it's a good thing, and now we got to throw in a bad thing.
Well, it seems that they have a good balance of both for the appropriate situations.
Oh yeah, I love Lee Everett, the character of Lee Everett. He's even though like you can choose a lot of his dialogue options, you can tell there's actually like a stable character underneath there that they wanted to. He's not just simply a mouthpiece for the player. There are moments where he's such a fascinating character that even with the dialogue options, they all tend to resound with the core of his personality.
Yeah, sounds fantastic. I need to check it out. I do watch the show. it has his moments with me, but I'm not really into it as much as I was the first season. I think it could be a bit inconsistent at times, and I still watch it though. But not really that in keen with it as much as the first season. But still, a good show, good zombie show. We don't get a lot of that on TV, which is nice. Which is refreshing that we get a zombie show, even though we're kind of flooded with zombies for the most part of all into entertainment. But that is fine.
I actually am really, really happy with the Walking Dead TV show right now, and I think the second season kind of faltered a bit because they didn't really know what tone to take. They didn't know if they kind of wanted to make it more like Mad Men or Breaking Bad, where it's a lot more character based, or they wanted to make it more plot based. But with this one, they seem to have found a really good season 3. They seem to have found a really good balance of it. And yeah, I'm really, really happy with the TV show right now. But it's still nowhere near as good as the video game.
Well, we'll see. We'll see. I still will go on to say, even though I haven't played The Walking Dead, but I played I'd say most of the games this year, except for probably Dishonored, Halo, and XCOM, which looking to get into that as well. But I really enjoyed the hell out of The Witcher 2. It is fantastic.
Witcher 2 from the amount that I could play, that's a damn good RPG. And I wouldn't be surprised if that is up there. And I genuinely don't think it's probably going to be Game of the Year, because while it is a really well-made RPG, it doesn't do anything new in terms of story and gameplay. It just does gameplay and story incredibly well. And I think a lot of people are going to be looking for like what broke new ground in which genre and what kind of tried something different and daring, whereas, the fantasy, swords, and sorcery sort of genre has really permeated throughout the video game industry. So I wouldn't be surprised if it got nominated for Game of the Year but did not win any Game of the Year titles.
Yeah, but yeah, it did win its respective awards last year when it did come out on the PC, and this the version for this year is definitely a hell of a lot different than the original version from what I've heard. It has extra content, newer cinematics, and fixed issues it had, and I've heard from PC players it's kind of a completely different game than it was when it originally came out. So I can understand how it probably won't win Game of the Year, but for me, I really enjoy the hell out of it. And as from what you were saying, what game broke new grounds in certain genre and things like that, and yet probably will go to The Walking Dead from what I've heard, which I've heard nothing but good things about. But
yeah,
no, that's about it. I did do the Game of the Year's my top 5 Game of the Year's video. That's a plug there. Nice plug there, but yeah. Other than that, I just figured I mentioned the little bit of the VGAs, but I did enjoy the Destructoid live stream of it. It made it bearable to watch the VGAs, and Samuel L. Jackson getting embedded into different games was all right, but knowing Spike TV, they burned the hell out of that really quick, I think.
Yeah,
I love you, Sam Jackson, but I can't. You repeating your lines from different movies is getting it's got a bit stale if it's in the hands of Spike TV writers.
Yeah, I like Samuel Jackson. Like he's right now he's just doing whatever the hell he wants to, just because he's so famous right now. He's got so much money in the bank that he's like, listen, I'll do whatever the hell I want. So if he just wants to make an easy couple of mil, just like repeating his old lines from Snakes on a Plane or Pulp Fiction, then let him do what he wants to do. But like, dude, come on! I know you got more than this.
Yeah, I get it, but man, I'm just thinking about my all-time favorite Sam Jackson moment. It's like it's one of those. I'm sure everybody knows it already, but the Deep Blue Sea scene, I saw that the first time when it came out. I was like, I never expected it. It's like it's completely unexpected, and I think that was before really like Twitter and things like that was getting big. I don't even know if Twitter was around back then, but it wouldn't have been spoiled for you when that would come out. But it was just an unexpected scene. It's given this kind of inspirational speech, and then the shark comes out of the water, eats Sam Jackson.
We gotta find a way to get out of here. Oh.
I was like, okay, that just ruining the morale of our group here. We're going to try to fight these intelligently enhanced sharks, which is a ridiculous concept to begin with. No, there's no sharktopus. I will say that, but I thought for a second I thought that Samuel Jackson was in Goodfellas, but as Stax who gets shot, I thought that was him, but.
Yeah, well, Samuel Jackson, his quality is debatable, especially during the VGAs. But what's so surprising is that they had Game of the Decade for the VGAs in terms of announcing a winner, and it was like, oh, it's Half-Life 2.
Barkley, shut up, Joe. Yeah.
Yeah, it was. I wish it was Shut Up and Jam. I wish it was anything else. We
know how you feel on Half-Life 2.
Yeah, I think it's mediocre. I think the game is just a mediocre product. I don't think it's brilliant. I don't think it's ingenious. I think that it really is a very I don't think it's a bad product. Once again, I think it's mediocre. I think it's run of the mill. I wouldn't think if it was any other studio, if Valve's name was not on it, people would not care. That's how I feel about it, and I definitely think that people give it more credit just because of the fact that it has Valve's name on it, and I'm not a fan of it. And what's even crazier is like, okay, why don't you just have Game of the Decade during 2010 or 2011, not
Yeah, that was
2012? What's the point of having Game of the Decade now?
Spike. It's Spike.
Yeah, because fuck you, bro. That's why.
Those motherfuckers, the only good show they had on there was Blue Mountain State, and they canceled it.
That and they had Blade, the TV series, and they're like, nah, this costs too much. We'll cancel it.
And Mansers. That was my guilty pleasure. But no, that
why do they have an award for most anticipated game?
I don't know, because they have to fill the time. But
It's like, okay, yeah, people are anticipating it. Why does it need why does it need a fucking award? It's like, okay, most game that we talked about. Like, I don't know, like Devil May Cry DMC. Like, okay, that's a game that we all talked about. Does that deserve an award? Like, when the crazy thing is, like, what if the game comes out and it's terrible? Is most anticipated game? Are they still going to slap that on there? It doesn't make sense.
no, we can't really predict whether or not it's going to be a good game, and expectations get too high, and people will get let down by it. But that reminds me, actually, of I remember I was following Jim Sterling on Twitter, and then he tweeted to Ken Levine. He asked him, "Is Bioshock Infinite good or not?" I never got back to him, but I just thought that was funny. Sacked him. Which was a little interesting, which I kind of I dug on, was the complete remodeling of the female character in Bioshock Infinite. I think the newer design they have on her, I think it looks a lot better than the original, which wasn't. I didn't think it was that overblown, or it was that bad. But
No.
But yeah, I do quite enjoy. I do like her new look. It seems more more grounded in reality, I think.
Well, the thing is, I'm not even sure if that's going to be her final costume. Just because, like, she could go through several costume changes.
She could, but I'm mainly talking about her facial features, because it looks different than physical features than it did before than the original. It was more like she had more like a bobbleheady thing going on there.
Yes, yeah, she had a bit more of I don't know. She had a bit more of like an expressive face, to the point of like, okay, her eyes are really bugging out, because like her eyes like are really, really big, and I understand like Ken Levine wanted there to be very expressive, but it's almost to the point of like, okay, she almost looks like an anime character. And I do like the fact that they toned it down just a little bit, but they still gave her enough expression in her eyes.
Trying to go for the Puss in Boots, pouty eyes look.
She's grabbing heads, like the pupils are dilated to like a huge nth degree. It's like, oh, don't look at me like that, please. I'm trying to kill you. Stop.
Don't kill the horse. Ooh. So it was interesting, but other than that, I didn't really pay attention too much what was going on, but I was mainly occupied with the Destructoid stream, and Jonathan owns his beard.
I have not seen that one yet, so I'm gonna have to look over for it. I did see the trailer for the Phantom Pain, which that actually looks very, very interesting, especially with the fact that they have a giant flaming whale of death in that trailer.
Well, since it's developed by Moby Dick Studios, I figured that why not add a whale in there? This has come to thought of me now that I said that. Why has no one ever made a game based off of Moby Dick? That'd be awesome.
Well, if you remember in an episode of Harvey Birdman, Attorney at Law, Reducto plays like a Game Boy version of Moby Dick, where it's just Ishmael in a kind of Mortal Kombat-esque fighting game, fighting Moby Dick. And so for those of you out there who are interested, yes, that I really hope it is in this episode, and I really hope that somebody actually took the time to actually make the game.
Hey, that's better than nothing. I play that. No, rumors going around that's had something to do with Metal Gear Solid, but I don't see it. except for that, I guess one scene where you see that he has the character that has the missing arm there with a scar on his cheek is similar to that picture for Metal Gear Solid Ground Zero, a big boss scar there. But
Yeah, well, they said that like okay, it's a scar, and one of the soldiers looks like Volgan. And yeah, Volgan is like, who's afraid of a little thunder? And then people say like there's a child version of Psychomantis in there, and there's the hospital gowns look the same as one of the things that they had, and it's like okay, that's maybe looking a little bit too much into it, but it's
possible, but I think it's looking too much into it as of the moment. But even though we'll probably find out more about it as
time goes on.
As time goes on, and we had an awkward appearance by Hideo Kojima, who got blindsided by a camera pointing at him. So that was the highlight of VGAs.
I'll definitely make sure to look that up and find that out, just because Hideo Kojima and public speaking don't really go hand in hand together.
Well, unfortunately, he didn't do any public speaking, but he was there at the VGAs with his entourage.
Ow! Damn it! Go away! I'm sorry. I was trying to bring up the VGA awards to talk about what we had, and yeah, I mean, what else was there? I know Dark Souls 2 was announced, and good on Dark Souls 2. Yeah, I hear it's a good game, so good on them for like trying for putting an effort into that. Just I love when good franchises go out more and get support, and
good for them for making a sequel as they should, because I don't think I'll play it, but good on them. I already had my experience with Dark Souls. I can't go back. It's too much for me. Too much.
There's too much pain.
Yeah. I think my blood pressure went up when I played it. It's not good for my health. So other than that, that's all I can recall. I did see a little snippet of Castlevania Lords of Shadow 2, which I still need to finish the first one. I'm like in the middle, and I should finish that, because that game, when I played of it was pretty damn good.
Yeah,
it's one of the best looking games I played on the console.
The project lead was Hideo Kojima, so that definitely means that they usually take their time on that sort of thing. So definitely looking. That'll definitely be an interesting type of game to see how the sequel develops on it. Maybe it'll be like a Game of the Year contender, just because I know people liked not Dark Souls. I'm sorry, Castlevania, Lords of Shadow, but it's not really not a great game apparently. But so maybe they can make it a great Game of the Year quality.
Yeah, it definitely could. There are definitely areas that could be polished, but I'm not too in keen with the Castlevania series. That could just be a lot of the hardcore fans that not too glee about it.
Mm-hmm.
And because I think it's more of a I think it's like a reboot or a retake or whatever you want to call it, reimagining of. I won't even say reimagining. There's so many re's.
Remastering, retreading, remakes.
Redux.
It's all basically the same. It just depends on what you think is like a perfect, rendition of that.
Well, from what I play, it's not bad. It's got good music, good voice acting. Patrick Stewart narrating, narrating in the game, and some interesting boss battles that are very, of the similar quality of like Shadow of the Colossus. You're climbing up these different giant enemies and attacking certain areas without kind of getting shrugged off and things like that, and has some interesting platforming and some really good Devil May Cry God of War gameplay. So what's not to like about it?
Well, that definitely seems like the type of game that I would be more than happy to enjoy, especially since it seems like kind of the hack and slasher sort of type of gameplay with some God of War elements in there. And, I'm a big fan of the hack and slash environments. And speaking of, I did happen to also see Metal Gear Rising Revengeance, and especially the fact that Raiden can now sneak in a cardboard box as well as equip a mariachi outfit where you can dress up as a mariachi band player and sneak around a cardboard box, and then the hat will just be on top of the box.
I'm sure that's not inconspicuous at all.
No, of course not. People around those areas always traditionally put their mariachi hats on top of cardboard boxes for good luck.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm also looking very much forward to Platinum Games next year just because they have Metal Gear Rising, they have Bayonetta 2, they have Anarchy Reigns. They are a hard-working group right over there. They definitely are certainly trying to keep up their stellar amount of how many games they try to pump out. Just because, remember with last generation they had Beautiful Joe, they had Okami, they had what was it? They were Clover Studios, and they certainly always ensure that they get they pump out really good quality games. Whether or not they generate the sales is questionable. Just because I know Vanquish didn't exactly do that hot, and neither did the original Bayonetta. But hey, these guys
Bayonetta. Fly me to the moon, let me sail upon the stars. Yeah, it's definitely a shame. I think with this console generation and this year in general, just having The Walking Dead win Game of the Year, which I think people are very open to newer IPs, and I say that I think people do want newer IPs, but then when I say that, they don't really do so well in sales, and which is why we don't get a hell of a lot of them because not a lot of people buy them.
Yeah, it's if you heard Yves Guillemot, who was I think the president of Ubisoft, who was saying the reason why there aren't any new IPs is because we're still stuck in this generation. We need to have a new console generation coming up to have new IPs. You do realize it's the only ones who make new IPs Ubisoft, EA, Activision, Nintendo, Microsoft, and Sony for just because they're the big guys and they want to have new IPs to show off. Because they're the only people who can afford the development kit and to actually produce these games in a timely manner. And video games are already expensive enough as it is. And I don't understand why there's this huge rush. For the Nintendo, actually, I'll actually talk about that later, but I don't know why we're in such a huge rush to get to this next generation, especially when we have so much content we can still have in this generation.
Yeah, there's definitely a lot of a whole lot of games to be had that are really good and that could be newer IPs, and we don't really need a newer console or higher specs involved with them in order to be successful, because like you said, games are already expensive enough as it is, and probably the budget will get higher on it, and who knows, might even raise the price on games as well. But
yeah, that's what happened with.
But I personally would prefer just not right away, but in time, a newer console that has less problems than it did with the original launch of the 360 with these red rings of death and things like that just really culminated over time, and which is, I think, one of the reasons why the 360 is pretty high selling. One, because I think it's not too bad of a console, and also because people had to buy them more than twice because they get burned out.
Very true. And I was thinking about the new consoles and with the Wii U launching, and I've seen some of the trailer for Pikmin 3, and it makes me interested to think okay, Nintendo is actually catering to all these developers who don't maybe want to buy new dev kits to for the next generation. So maybe they'll just maybe they'll get a lot of third-party support for the Wii U just to continually using the assets that they currently have. And I know that that's maybe assuming a little too much, but it just seems like Nintendo is probably going to win again just by default by the fact that Microsoft and Sony, they don't really seem to have a strategy or a business plan other than we'll just try to make the technology as good as we can. Not like we'll try to squeeze out every last bit of content we can conjure up in this generation. It's just okay, we'll just try to beat the other guys to the punch.
That does seem to be the case, but I mean, for what we have right now, it's just pretty fine as it is. I think there's definitely room for tweaks and improvements and things like that, and all this kind of nickel and diming of services involved with using the 360 dashboard for things.
Yeah. And you know what? If anything, I would like to see more downloadable content, like more smaller games that try something experimental or try a new genre or revisit of genres. Like, we have Dust and Elysium Tale, which is kind of the hack and slash type of formula. Or we got the guys at Double Fine with Costume Quest, Trenched, and Stacking, where it's a combination of different genres. And, Trenched, or Iron Brigade, as it's now called, is one of my favorite games of this generation, just because of the fact that it's so brilliant, but it's a $15 value, but it feels like a $60 game, just of how much quality they pack into it.
Mm-hmm. That's just an indie title in and of itself. I know we've been discussing some kind of smaller games like Barkley, and quite recently today with the DEF CON game and FTL. Those are really well made games, and that just kind of feel that they're just a really good quality title that are worth more than what we get them for sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
Most definitely.
I feel like we should try to at least experiment a little bit more with the downloadable content market, rather than just jumping right into just the next cycle. I think we should have a better understanding of this cycle before moving on to what we have next.
Mm-hmm. I think it's still pretty soon for kind of anything to come out of that quite just yet with newer consoles, I think. But we will see. We will see.
Yeah. I mean, and I would like to also put it out there that I would love to purchase the Wii U, and I'd like to get it, but I just don't have the inclination to get it at this point in time. I want to play Zombie U and New Super Mario Brothers U, but I just feel like I'll probably wait a little bit longer before the library starts adding up more content, as well as the fact that they'll probably shave off a few of the problems that first generation console launches had.
Most likely. Just with things like that, it'd probably take some time to get some bigger launch titles and things like that.
Oh yeah,
bigger library. I never was really sold on it. The only reason I'd have to get it is to play Bayonetta 2. But that's pretty much it.
I mean, how else are you going to punch a god into the sun? There's really no other way.
There's no other way. Bayonetta. Oh, Bayonetta.
Yeah, we love you, Bayonetta. So I also got to see a bit of the BioShock Infinite gameplay, and I know we were talking about a little bit of BioShock Infinite before, and I have to say that it really is really looking good. I'm very, very happy about the way it's going, and it definitely looks like they've finally got fine-tuning on everything. I was a little bit worried just because there were so many people of note leaving the project that I was afraid that okay, this could be a Last Guardian syndrome where this thing never gets made. But
even it got delayed again too.
Yeah, fortunately it got delayed only a month, where it was going to be February 26th, but now it's just March 26th. So that's if they want to have an extra month to work on everything with just everything I've seen, that is more than fine. Just take your time, guys. I will be more than happy to chow down on your video game Sunday as soon as you guys are done with it. But damn it, I want to play this game because it looks awesome. It
looks more fast-paced than the first game.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it does look really good, and I like the fact that apparently they're focusing a lot more on the fact that with everything that BioShock is, that like in BioShock Infinite is either offering a counter to or expanding upon. For instance, like in BioShock 1, you start like Rapture has already fallen. You're just kind of exploring this dying city, and but with BioShock Infinite, it's more like, okay, you are actually going up to the floating city of Columbia, and it's still it's still a thriving city where there are people, families having picnics on the beach, and there are hot dog vendors, and and then like people just enjoying life and like drinking beers in a bar or something like that, and that is what I'm really, really interested in, just because, like, okay, now you're not in the middle of a civil war, and you're not in the post-war city. It's going on around you, but you don't start out like that. So that's probably going to set up an interesting dynamic with how you, the character, see the city, and I'm really interested.
Welcome back. Welcome back. Welcome back.
Welcome back. Good to be back. How you doing?
Great. I spent the last like 10 minutes trying to kill this fly.
Flies can be annoying. You know what the strange thing is? No matter, like, even if you're like in an airtight dome, like in that movie Biodome, where it's like you're in a bubble, nothing can get in or out, there'll always be like a mosquito or a fly that always manages to slip its way in. Like, no one knows how. How is that possible? How is it possible?
They're as good, if not better, than ninjas.
Mm-hmm.
And showing up and getting into places that most others cannot.
Yeah, it certainly is. It certainly is it's quite amazing what animals are capable of. Especially like I was camping a couple of days ago, and I was returning back from camping, and I just realized that, oh wow, there were somehow, even though I closed up my tent and I made sure the outside of my tent was closed up, as well as the inside latches and stuff like that, and everything was zipped up, they still managed to find a way in. It's like, how is that possible?
Bastards.
Yeah,
I say
it's incredible, and you know what's even more incredible is the fact that Nintendo Power, the go-to magazine for Nintendo aficionados, that has been a clear staple mark of guides for people who don't understand that actual video game guides exist, or nor do they realize that GameFAQs is available to everybody, has finally ended. So the final issue has hit the stores, and it's issue number 285. That's a homage to the first Nintendo Power cover, where Mario is hitting a Goomba and running away from Bowser as he's looking kind of pissed. And yeah, I mean, it's been 25 years of Nintendo Power, and I knew I grew up reading every issue, just because Nintendo was kind of my was my childhood, a video game company that I went to, and it's kind of sad to see this going, happen. Although the Nintendo Power will exist online, but just there will no longer be any physical magazines, which is very sad. It's the end of an era.
Much like GamePro, which I
much like
grew up
GamePro or Game Informer or whatever the hell Electronics Boutique was running out of their crap hole that they got going on there.
Riescat in pace.
Yes, indeed. So, goodbye, Nintendo Power. We sure hope that all of your writing staff can find jobs after this, and thank you for all the sweet memories.
Sweet memories.
Sweet Caroline, hopping on turtles, throwing red shells, and getting bananas.
For no reason.
Okay, I'm sorry about that. Yeah, so that's the end. Let's see. I don't have much else. No, I think that's it on my end. Do you have any other little bits of news or trivia for the week?
I think we covered just about the basis of this week and the week prior, I believe. I don't know if we've... Yep, that's it. So, Soul Reaver Saga is on Steam. I should play that as well. I got into like a good hour and a half on the first one, and haven't played it since because I got distracted by other things. But the opening cinematic to that was pretty good for the first Soul Reaver game. Very
just checking it out.
Very overly ambitious title, but it's pretty good.
Well, that's very good on their end because Soul Reaver is apparently a really good
Crystal Dynamics, right?
I'm sorry,
Crystal Dynamics, right? I think they developed that. Yeah, god damn.
Yeah, and so I would love to play the game. Unfortunately, it's only available for Windows right now. And then, dang it, I want to play that game, but unfortunately, blasphemy. Yeah, Macs are not exactly as game oriented as PCs, which is kind of sad. But anyway, whatever the case may be, I'm looking forward to playing Soul Reaver if it inevitably comes out on the Mac. So looking forward to that.
Wineskin.
Yeah, maybe some wineskin if there's nothing to get out of it else.
Yeah, I know older games seem to not have too much of an issue with running on things like that, like wineskin. I know I didn't have much issue running some of the older games that are not of this current gen on kind of equivalent to wineskin on Linux. I think it's probably the same thing, like wine. It has like a symbol of a wine logo on it, so it might be the same as on the Mac for Linux, but nice little emulators.
Yeah, I am also really glad that Good Old Games is considering making all of their games that they currently have in their library available for Mac and PC as well. So it's like, wow, that would just make my day. I know Beneath the Steel Sky is now available for Mac, where I tried to get that going through Wineskin emulator, and it just did not work. It's a free download from Good Old Games, so please go check it out when it was just available for Windows only. So I tried it, did not work, and so yeah, and I certainly hope that the games that they have will certainly come on over, just because I'd like to play a little bit more of the games. I always wanted to play The Longest Journey.
I do like how they include some games to start off with when you start up a Good Old Games account. That's really nice. Nice little add-on there, and they also do have updates for some newer games available, so you can download on Good Old Games as well, just as like Steam does when they send out their whether it be system updates for Steam, or like adding the big picture mode, or just system updates for the games themselves.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Much similar to 360 title updates.
Yeah, which is really nice. I always, that's it's great that they keep on adding updates to it, and that it's for free. So good on them for that.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, that's all I have on my end. Really, I think we covered the basis on this week in gaming, and I don't know anything else out of the ordinary that has got my attention for this week or last week. But we got some things. We got some things done. Some conversations.
The only thing I really want to talk about is something that I was discussing with my roommate, and we were just talking about the cost. Should the cost of a video game actually factor into the overall score of what it's to be considered in terms of quality? And it's an interesting discussion, but I want to hear what you have to say, and I would be more than happy to give my opinions. I just was kind of hoping, what do you have to say on the subject, Splinter?
Oh goodness, that's a question that has plagued man since the beginning of dawn and age.
The Witcher agents. They have a nice now plow, and they're like, "Oh, what be this thought I have in my head?"
Oi. Boy. So you're trying to. So the question is, should the score of a game, so the price of the game, actually factor into the score? Whether, just that in general, if it's something that a game is mediocre, should the price of the game that's mediocre factor into the score? Is what you're trying to say, or just like the price of the game in general?
Well, just in general, if you want to go into specifics, please do. I've just been very interested to hear your opinion, just in terms of just any thoughts that you have on the subject. Really, there's no definitive subject, definitive just conversation on the matter. Just what do you think about pricing in games? Should that just in this case, should it affect the overall rating of a game? Like, should like a $40 game be considered like better even if it has problems with it, like a console game, or if there's like for instance, Rayman Origins was a spectacular game that got great reviews, but a lot of people didn't think it was worth $60. And I was interested in what do you have thoughts on the subject?
That is a good question. It really depends. For me, if a game, I mean, as it is now, I'm already gotten used to the fact that games are $60, and ultimately they're there for entertainment as well, but it's also sometimes an investment. But most of the time, I've rarely purchased a game for full price, $60, and didn't quite enjoy it as much as I did, and I would have said that it's not really worth the full price. And I normally would say that, like I'd say, for example, Kane and Lynch 2 was not worth $60, and the game had its fair share of problems, and it was very short, and personally not really overall not really that great of a game. It's I don't know. I think depending on I think with any game probably I'd say it should be mentioned slightly, but I don't think it should be the ultimate reason you would rate a game a certain score, or just recommendation. Maybe recommendation, but not really. I don't know. I'm kind of indifferent on the score system as it is already. I'm more saying that whether I'd rather say if it's get it or wait till the prices drop. I think with what we've going through right now with the economy, I think some particular cases, I think the price should be some sort of indication on whether or not you should purchase the game, if the game is quality product for the price or not, or even if it is a good product, but sometimes it could be probably overpriced at times. I think it varies. I'd say, I don't know. It's that is a interesting question there. I wouldn't necessarily factor it in completely, on my opinion, on the price, because I'm already, like I said, I already got used to what the prices are for games. But I think in certain situations, I probably would say hold off on a certain game if it's not that great until it gets reduced down to a lower price. Most definitely.
I got you. Well, for me, it is very hard to kind of think about, okay, what is quality in terms of a game? Like, do people, because these are usually $60 investments, should longer than a TV show, like a season of a TV show, or a DVD of a movie would have, is it worth the quality, and are there enough to justify that? And I think that if there's enough quality in the game to the point where you don't mind it being short, where you can replay it and still have at least a modicum of similar enjoyment to it, then it's fine. If it's like, for instance, Enslaved: Odyssey to the West, I was just using this example earlier with my roommate, where it's not a particularly long game, nor is it a particularly difficult game, but I just still get enjoyment out of playing it, just because I really like the characters and the story, and I actually am engaged by the combat that they have there, to the point where I don't mind that it's not entirely a long process. Whereas, like, Kane and Lynch 2, where I feel like if I had that game, that it doesn't seem like a game that has quality and quantity. It seems like it just kind of has quantity without the quality, or it's short, and it's not exactly of worth your time. But like, if it was like a really, really polished game that was only like 6 hours long, then yeah, I'd be more than happy to pay a little bit more for that, just because you're able to get a lot more out of it, just because of the fact that it's been worked on so well.
Right, I agree. That's what I was kind of trying to get across right there. It's sort of the same thought I had with Splinter Cell Conviction, because the game, the single player is like good. You probably beat it about a good 5 to 6 hours, but it also has the co-op in there that adds another kind of couple of hours to it. And I still think it's a quality product, and for me, I wouldn't hesitate buying it full price. If I were to go back in time, which that would be awesome, but unfortunately that is not the case. But I think that it's definitely a quality product for $60. But it varies. I think nowadays we're very informed on what is good and what is not so good, from variety of sources, and a lot of people can really tell you almost every little thing about a game that is in the game, and you kind of make your own opinions about it. If, like, all right, this game is a quality product, has a good length, it has minor issues here and there, and you just kind of make a judgment call on that, and it's like, all right, I think it's worth the $60. And if it's compared to something else that is not that is a very long game, but is very tedious, and it's not something that I probably would pay for, but I probably would check it out if it was reduced price, like bargain bin stuff. Mm-hmm. It just varies. Right. I wouldn't necessarily hold a game hold the price of a game against it, because if it's not a good product.
Right. Yeah, sure. Well, those are just my thoughts on the matter. And for ladies and gentlemen out there, if you're interested, please share your opinions as well on the matter, and just send us a comment or a question about it. And thank you very much for indulging us in our conversation on the subject matter. So yeah,
it was a good little topic discussion there.
Yep. Is there anything else that we wanted to discuss before jumping on over to our next segment?
No, that's about it. I think we got a good amount of stuff to talk about with the questions, and definitely had a lot of content and quality, I say. I mean, you can't go wrong with this podcast because it's free.
Exactly.
Whether you say it's a quality product is subjective, but nonetheless, it's free.
We are entertaining the 99%. We really are just Robin Hood and Jesus rolled into one.
Now, it's really hard to get into debating whether something is of your time. That's another thing. It's like, it's free. What else you want? You can't complain.
Exactly. There's nothing you can say except for, wow, this is free, this is quality, it is worth my time, and it is awesome. So you're welcome, world, for us, really. Just to thank you very much for entertaining us. But, you should also thank us for entertaining you, just because it's a two-way street. It's trust and it's love, and we love you guys very much.
Yes, I was going to make a wrestling reference to that, but I don't know if that would be good for the occasion.
Oh, please. It's always a good occasion for a wrestling reference.
It was just some line that The Rock would say when he was cutting promos against somebody. He would fire, "Gonna take you down to the SmackDown Hotel. Go down the street to Know Your Role Boulevard," and something like that. I butchered it, but it was pretty damn good.
Well, thank you very much. We can always use a little Dwayne Johnson every day.
Oh yeah.
So let's move on to our next segment, which is questions for episode 123.
Full house for this one. So we start off here with the Ultimate Snyder Man.
Yeah, Snyder Man.
And his question is, how important do you think it is for the player to relate to the characters? Does gameplay and atmosphere trump identifiable or enjoyable characters? I don't know. I think with my feelings towards games, it really depends on a lot of variety of factors. And with some games, I'm willing to overlook certain, I wouldn't say flaws, but some sort of areas where I'm not completely on board with it. But for the most part, it's hard to really relate to a lot of video game characters, and because some of them are just either demon hunters, or in the case of Bayonetta, a leggy, attractive woman who kills angels. It's really hard to relate to that, but in rare occasions there are.
Hey, you don't know what I do on the weekends. You don't know my jobs.
Well, I spoke too soon then. I think in some cases, in rare cases, I find some characters to be pretty identifiable and have sort of the same sense of humor that I do, or just kind of outlook on things. I think the only one I could think of was like Francis York Morgan in Dead Premonition. Is one he definitely had some moments where I definitely identified with him a lot, in just the weirdness of just randomness of what he says and how he reacts to people, and how he perceives everything around him, and just all that type of stuff I really dig. But for the most part, I would probably consider more of it being just a variety of factors more than just having identified characters. I could play a pretty mediocre game, but if I can identify with some characters, that's a nice plus. But it's not something I'm gonna go back to just to play through those little mediocre moments to kind of get the identifiable little moments with the character. But it's just, I don't know. It depends. I play games for entertainment purposes, not just to relate to some characters, but.
Right.
But again, it just, games is certainly this interesting medium where you can definitely enjoy a game a hell of a lot for just, one area over the other, and everyone has different opinions on what they like and didn't like about a game. So that's just opens up a hell of a lot more kind of conversations about it, more than kind of anything else.
Mm.
So what about you?
The thing is that, yeah, like, you don't exactly need to identify with the character, I think, to enjoy the game. For instance, God of War and BioShock and Metroid Prime, where you have these, in God of War's case, you have a guy who's a complete just jackass. He is a murdering psychopath, and you can't really relate to him except for the fact that he cares for his family. But the thing is that the overall story, the gameplay, and the atmosphere are so engaging that you're willing to forgive that just to see this guy go throughout his character arc. And the fact that that it's actually a very interesting character arc is also an appealing thing, where it's not just like, okay, it's not a Clockwork Orange where this guy is just kind of being a jackass for no other reason than just, oh, okay, because he can. But and like for Metroid and for BioShock, because everything else around you is so fascinating, I don't want to harp on this, but like that's why I'm not a big fan of Half-Life 2, just because with Metroid Prime and BioShock and Portal, the world around you and everything around you is just so much more. Just it's interesting to the point where you don't worry about the fact that your protagonist is silent the entire time.
Hmm.
Whereas in Half-Life 2, it's like, okay, these are nice areas and these are well designed enemies, but they're not anything to write home about. Whereas like BioShock and Portal and Metroid Prime, and they blow you away with just like with the art design, just the engaging gameplay, and that's why you can kind of forgive everything else, just because everything else is just so much more well made. Which is same thing with also Legend of Zelda series, and same thing with Darksiders, where you have these huge hulking '90s anti-villain looking sons of guns just slicing things up and beating the crap out of everyone, but you're not really you're not really relating to them. You're just kind of enjoying their story.
Yeah,
but you can relate with characters and that makes them sympathetic, like John Marston in Red Dead Redemption, where he's a very moral person in terms of his dedication to his wife, and if you choose so, how he views violence and solving problems, and that makes him a relatable character and a sympathetic character if you can relate to him in some manner. It doesn't even need to be a huge manner. It can be like just a very small character moment in a huge game, like maybe something in like Black Ops 2, where a character says something and like, oh yeah, I also think similarly to that, or I would probably say that, and then you relate to that character just a little bit. That also just kind of creates a stronger connection between the player and the character. Where I don't think it's 100% important to have the characters be relatable to the players, but if you want to tell an engrossing story with the main protagonist, you either need to make their story so interesting you don't need to have that relation, or you just create, or you can to enhance the story, you create a protagonist who you want to see go throughout the story and be relatable. Like for instance, Guybrush Threepwood, who in The Secret of Monkey Island, where he's a bit of a coward. He's a common man, where he's like trying to use his brain to solve these things, and he's kind of dealing with these idiots and these incredibly incompetent people who he's just trying to get past. And I can relate to him. I just because I would probably do something similar in his shoes, just because he's not the bravest, he's not the smartest, he's not the most ingenious, but he does have a dedication to see things through to the end, and I appreciate that as a player. So and I enjoy that aspect.
Yeah, I think that if you can identify with some character in some way, I think that's definitely an added bonus. But I believe with some games, they're also sometimes meant in some ways not to be identifiable, and just a lot of the things you just kind of placed in to their world and their story to see how it unravels. And I am a huge fan of things like that, just kind of seeing how some characters' story will kind of end, like they're like the certain chapter of their lives that they're going through. Like I've seen some movies. I think it was like, I know it's not a good example, but Bad Lieutenant with Nicolas Cage. Like this character's not really identifiable or likable at all, because he's kind of a fuck up and kind of a drug addict. It's not really much redeeming value to him, and but it's very engrossing to see how he gets out of certain situations and how his story ends. That's kind of the character driven stuff that I really like in games. But like I said, if they're identifiable or likable, that's definitely an added bonus, and then they'll probably be a certain part of my heart that will stay with it to make me want to replay it again. Like Daily Premonition.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Where it's like, okay, you have this character of Francis York Morgan. The fact that he's just so fascinating as a character, where his frame of mind is not exactly something that a normal person would tend to have, but he's such an interesting character, and the people around him are so endeared to him because of that you start to care for him as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's just even the characters that aren't, I can't say aren't, I won't say they aren't completely interesting. There are definitely a hell of a lot of characters, the Premonition, that are interesting. You know, the relationship between Keith and Lily are just, they're so opposite of each other, but they still, have this really good relationship, and they have the milk barn store, and they have the kids and things like that. They just they seem just really down to earth and real people.
Mm-hmm.
Because I know people like that, and that's certain the identifiable element that the Premonition has, and charm with just so many other things, and this is really one of the big reasons why I overlook some of the not the best parts of the Premonition, just because of those things in general, just the story and the characters, and just even the world, even like the whole town, even though it doesn't look that great, but it does a good job of setting you into a small town where these real people have schedules. They all have certain schedules they do, and they go to different places at certain times that you could just exploit and kind of talk to them when they're not in their house, where you can't get in, because why would you do that? You're FBI agent. You can't break into people's houses.
Absolutely. It does go a long way to actually establish a world that seems like, okay, this is not just this one adventure. This actually feels like a world that that feels alive. That it's like, okay, there could be more adventures here if possible, but for right now, I'm just in this world, and being immersed in that kind of world is just something that will make you either forget about some of the problems that you have with other aspects of the game, or enhance the best qualities of the game.
Yeah, I think we all play games for certain reasons, and we usually have some expectations on what we would like to see and what we want to get out of a game, and when a game does things like that, I'm willing to overlook its flaws just for that fact alone. But yeah, I'm down with that.
Thank you very much, Snyder Man, for the excellent comment and question. I'm sorry, 2 questions, not comment, because that would be wrong. So thank you very much, and let's move on to Stanley Kubrick, who asks, do you think it's unfair, i.e. unfair to say indie game developers, that the next-gen console development toolkits are only available pre-console launch to a very exclusive minority of developers, usually the big players like EA and Activision? Yeah. I would say it's very unfair for the smaller guys who don't have exactly the big billings like EA, Activision, Ubisoft. I would assume even retro studios with Nintendo, where they have these huge deep pockets, and they can afford to have early development time for with toolkits and develop for the next generation of consoles, while the other guys have to either play catch up, or they'll have to ride out the last cycle, this generation cycle with the Wii 360 and PS3 for as long as they can. And not only that, I feel like now, like when a new a development toolkit comes out, these developers are going to feel obligated to buy them and then start development on the next game that they're working on, even if they don't know how to best use the toolkit. Which is why I'm still adamant on saying let's ride out this generation for as long as possible, just because we're now starting to get some absolutely just fantastic games. We're getting Halo 4, which looks absolutely incredible. We're getting huge draw distance and character NPCs in games like Hitman Absolution. We're getting incredible downloadable games, and people are, and these developers are starting to understand what they have at their disposal. And but back to your question, I do think it's overall unfair that big companies get the leg up in the competition by being kind of the first wave of games, and the other guys are going to have to catch up in some other measure, even if they're not ready to catch up.
Yeah, it's kind of a shame, but I think that they should dole out some of the development toolkits to the indie developers because that's where I think a good amount of their a good amount of games come out of there and revenue. I mean, that's what they want. Don't they want some moolah? I mean, a lot of good games and a good amount of money has been made on Xbox Live Arcade and PSN alone. Those indie titles like like Bastion and things like that have come out.
Shadow Complex.
Yeah, without them, I don't know what is there on Xbox Live Arcade. If we didn't have those games, those optional little games that are priced at a really reasonable amount of money that give you as much, if not better, experience than full priced AAA games.
Mm-hmm. And I'm really looking forward to what developers do for the next cycle, of course. But I do feel like indie developers are going to become a more and more selective breed since they can't keep up with mainstream console cycles, which may mean that they're going to probably go towards more indie development and direct download stuff with Xbox Live Arcade, the Wii U store, PSN, and Steam. And that's fine with me. I think that more downloadable stuff would be great, but it just feels like they would probably be forced towards it for the wrong reason, and it's just it's something that makes me a little bit worried.
Yep. So, thanks for the question, Stanley.
Thank you very much, Mr. Kubrick.
And let's see. What am I not seeing?
We have 3 more questions, I think.
Oh yeah, okay. I don't know why I didn't see that. It didn't the whole page didn't load. It's like it got in the middle, like half the page loaded of Jack Burton's response to Mr. Sir Stanley Kubrick. All right, Transmorpher has a question. 3 questions, but if you had to fight a bear or a shark, which do you think you might have better odds of surviving? I say bear because one, I not that great of a swimmer, and and I usually I'm one that doesn't feel completely comfortable with opening my eyes underwater. I usually have them closed because they burn when I have them when I have them open. So I think I choose a bear. I use the tactic of putting my hands over my face and hoping for the best.
Yeah, absolutely. I would also go bear. Just because shark like Jaws was terrifying just because of the fact that humans as a species, we only go to water for kind of enjoyment. We swim just because it's fun to swim. It's fun to kind of feel that freedom, but we can't exactly maneuver spectacularly through it. And Jaws was scary just because you're underwater and this thing is at home, whereas a bear you are kind of more on equal footing. I mean, the closest thing that we've got to a horror story that hit to the level of Jaws was Grizzly Man, and that was just because that guy was so fucking stupid. He's like, "Oh, hey, Mr. Chocolate, why don't us wear this vest made out of meat, and then hug you?" It's like, okay, this guy's obviously gonna die because he's an idiot. But I also think it's genetics on my side that I would be able to fight off and win against a bear, just because my grandmother, while she was in Colorado, had a bear come into her home and started trifling through her cereal and whatnot, and she just decided to scare off, just going, "Hey, get out of there! What are you doing? Go, get!" And then the bear just ran away. And it was not a baby bear; it was an adult bear. It was like, "Oh, okay, I'm out of here." Like if you yell enough, then the bear will go away. Like I don't know anybody who could yell enough, and then the shark will just be like, "Well, I guess now I'm not eating him."
Well, with the bears, if you have the element of surprise, I think you have a better chance than them spotting you ahead of time. Maybe yell at him, yell at a bear like Christopher Walken yells in
I would have loved for that story to end with my grandmother just like waving her hand outside of the window, just like with a pot and with a pan in hand, going, "This ain't over." Bam! It's fleeing back to its cave.
Or just just emulating his great role in Sleepy Hollow, where all he does in that movie is yell. Ah! That was scary. That'll scare it off, but
bears are much easier to scare than sharks. I don't like bears can also have facial expressions, so you know when they're like scared or when they're happy or just whenever. They're easier. They're not human expressive, but they're at least a little bit expressive. Whereas a shark, it looks pissed off and hungry its entire existence. So you never know what's going to happen.
Mm-hmm. And plus, if I ever get scared of running into a bear, I'll just think of a little bear, because that was a cute bear.
Absolutely.
A lot of good could come from bears. Just watch.
What Bernstein Bears.
Watch Little Bear.
Yeah, that's a great role model for children. Like, hey kids, you see this bear? He's actually friendly. Go up and find your nearest grizzly bear and hug him. Hug him as hard as you can.
See what happens. See if we're still alive after that.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a good question there. And Transmorpher got another one. It's a serious question. Do we really need an award show that is an Oscars equivalent for video games? Let's see. Well, since the only thing we have so far that is available to watch on TV is the VGAs, and we all know the quality of that. I know that there's other sort of game awards. Well, they're mostly kind of for developers. Forgot the name of it. Is it the? God damn it! I know there's another award show that's kind of more. That is more kind of in the know and less of a advertisement commercial show than the VGAs.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I would love something that's a lot less commercial than the VGAs, and that just is a little bit more formal and a little bit more respectable of the art form. But overall, I don't think we really need an awards show. I don't even think that the Oscars really need to exist either, just because of the fact that it's usually just like the Hollywood studio systems giving themselves a pat on the back for all the work that they've done. And you get the big releases, like you get what was it, the King's Speech, that was like back in 2009 or right?
I think 9 or 10. I'm gonna say is that same year that the artist came out.
Yeah, I believe so. Whereas
or 11.
Anyway, it's like the King's Speech, like that was it was a good movie, but it was not movie of the year worthy. But it was just because of the fact that it had X number of big. And I'm sorry, it was 2010, and just because it had X number of Hollywood stars, and it was a period drama, and that was the reason why it got nominated and it won, and same thing with the year before 2009, where The Hurt Locker won for Best Picture, where it was nowhere near Best Picture worthy. I'm just flabbergasted that they chose that film over even over Inglourious Bastards, where I thought that okay, this really shouldn't be this really should be kind of obvious. And the only reason why James Cameron even really got nominated for so many things is because of the fact that he's James Cameron, and he's a huge industry staple mark. And that's what I'm afraid that if we had an award show kind of like the Oscars for video games, is what would become. Just like, okay, now we're focusing on the big names behind the games rather than the games themselves. Like we would be giving Miyamoto awards or like Iwata awards, or we'd be giving or Kojima awards, or Peter Molyneux or Ken Levine or heck, even Cliff Bleszinski, just because of the fact, or David Jaffe for that matter, just because of the fact that they're big names and they're big Hollywood video game staple marks, and they've advanced the medium so far. Like, because they're past, they're really being celebrated, not because of what they're currently doing.
Yeah. Yeah, that seems to be the case, and I don't know. I even heard things from various sources. I won't name them on this podcast without compromising their integrity. I don't know. They go into this discussion how it's just with the movies, especially with just trying to get someone nominated for something. You got to jump through a lot of hoops through it just to get it done, and pay someone just so you can be considered at least. It seems like something that you shouldn't have to jump through hoops. I think the whatever film or actor's performance should speak for themselves and just be there. But with games, it seems like people know what the best games are because they played them. So I think that's all we need to know for the most part. But I think now, this is not tooting our own horns, but I think we should rev up or make more mainstream Bloody Thumbs Awards, because the first annual, was a success.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely, I would be more than happy to continue the endeavor, and for this, now we're winding down to the end of the year, so it seems more than appropriate to have our Bloody Thumbs Awards going out for this year. But the only thing is that I need to make sure that I actually played the games before I started. Before I started voting on them. Or I could just make them up as going. Like, I love that part. I could just make this all up as I'm going along. Like, I love that part in Hitman Absolution where you beat the crap out of that small child and then toss him into a volcano, and then right afterwards you did the salsa dancing at the beach. That was great. I love that part.
Of course. No, yeah, that is something that we would have loved to get done this year. But through unfortunate circumstances, it is what it is. Maybe we could do one when you've played most of the games from last year and probably post it in the middle of next year. Who would have thunk it?
Who would have thunk it? But you know what? We can think it, and we have thunked it, and we shall future to thunk again, to thunk about what our thoughts are again.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm just having flashbacks of it. I just putting those audio laugh tracks in there was just a thing of beauty. Audio. What am I talking about? What am I talking about? We did the show at the Madison Square Garden. Remember that?
Exactly. We did it live in front of a huge audience that was receptive and loving of us.
Had tuxedos on and Chobot handing out the awards. It was all fine and dandy. It was the best of moments. It was the best moment of my life.
Absolutely.
I'd rather repeat that than go to Disneyland any day.
You know it, buddy. And dang it, if I wasn't happy that we went through it all, and we got very warm receptions, and we hope you all will come out for the second annual Bloody Thumbs Awards for our next recording.
Looking forward to it. So thanks for the question there, Transmorpher. And I guess we're kind of indifferent about it. Mixed.
Yeah. I'm indifferent on the erring on the side of cautious and pessimistic. Where if we even try to make it more like the Oscars, I feel it'll do more harm than good. So I feel like we don't really need award shows. Like, the closest thing to an award show I think that even does well is maybe the Rocket and Ray Gun Awards that they use on reviews on the run, and that's just really just a couple people's opinions about, like, oh, okay, I really like this game this year, and I like this game, and that's it.
Yeah, I'm more receptive on just different sites doing their Game of the Year awards, because I respect most of their opinions than to actually sit in and read or watch their kind of award nominations and things like that. That is pretty good. I'd rather watch that.
Yeah, it's a weird area just because of the fact that the video game award shows kind of seem more based upon the idea of what's the most popular and what's popular as well as being a well-made game. That's
what it seemed like with the VGAs for the past couple of years. the years prior, but not this year was actually not too bad in terms of what got nominated and things like that. And but one, which I was surprised at. So I think we're getting somewhere. It may not be the most entertaining or decent show to watch, but at least the proper games got their due in recognition, I'd say, for at least getting nominated. It's fine. It's nice that we acknowledge that these games and developers that put in a whole lot of work to make those games, but I really don't. I really don't care in terms of the actual awards, because I no disrespect, but I'd probably take someone more seriously that won an Oscar than a VGA award. That doesn't undermine the quality product they put out, but that's just how I feel.
I mean, well, how could you possibly take Halo 4 seriously, or appreciate the fact that Walking Dead got Game of the Year without Mountain Dew and Doritos endorsements?
CH, Mountain Dew comes in a big gulp at 7-Eleven.
Oh, darn tootin', and you know what? These delicious flavors of just red and green and strawberry mango splash. Delicious.
And now for a limited time, if you put in the code Bloody Thumbs on MountainDew.com, you get a free sticker.
Hey, does that sticker come in red too?
As a matter of fact, it does.
Yeah. So good, man. So good. Anywho, thank you very much, Transmorpher, for that question. And now let's move on to Transmorpher's question. Yes, she has asked another question. I assume it's a she. I'm sorry. The icon implies it's a she, the name, as well as I think the profile says it's she, so I'm not sure. Anyway, also, what do you think, she says, also, what do you think of people calling out female gamers for not being genuine when they say they play video games? Stupid.
Yes.
There's really, if people say they play video games, then why is it like, no, you don't? It's like, oh, yeah, I read that book one time. That was good. No, you didn't. Okay, I think I recall what I did and did not do. So I maybe I think it's like, oh, you're playing video games just for attention for guys. That's and that's something that's been kind of cropping up recently. It's like, oh, you're just doing this. You're just only going to comic conventions and pretending to like these things so that guys will think you're attractive, or they'll be interested in you, and that's pretty stupid. Why would you? I don't understand. Like, why in the world would you fake that? Like, if you say you like it, then and then you don't like. For instance, if I didn't think that Chobot was, when I first saw her, I didn't really think much about her. I thought like, oh, okay, I won't say anything until I know more. But it seemed like she didn't really know what she was talking about with video games, just because I didn't really hear her a lot on the subject, and she seemed more like an anchor, like announcing kind of news pieces that on Attack of the Show. But when she was on Feedback, she knew her stuff. Like, if a lady says that she knows video games and then she can back it up with knowledge or at least some background, then I don't understand why that's any different than a guy saying that oh, dude, I totally play that Call of Duty game. Really? What's your favorite level? The one where you shoot that guy. Like, okay, you obviously haven't played the game, so whatever. Like, if you can recall like a level, or just recall parts about the game that you enjoyed or liked, then they deserve as much acclamation or as appreciation as anybody else who plays video games. Or just, if they like it, then why question it?
If that was me, I'd believe that guy, because that's all the game is shooting guys. All right, that's I can get down with that. No, it is a pretty silly thing to get upset or call in question nowadays. And wasn't this like this before with like comic books? Now nobody really questions people, like girls who read comic books.
Yeah, it's now it's really just, I don't know what it is. It's just, there's people who just play video games and think it's like an exclusive thing that's their personal identity, and if they let anybody else in, it will somehow dilute who they are as a human being. And that's stupid and silly, and they really should be pitied.
Yeah. But
So
that's our stance on it. That seems to be pretty dumb to call out somebody for that. Although I will admit there are some who do it, but they're very rare.
Yeah.
That pretend to play games. I mean.
Yeah, well, it's just like, okay, if you pretend to play games and then you get caught for like not, like you don't know anything about games, then just be like, oh, okay, yeah, I was just saying that, I was just pulling your leg. But women who say that they play video games, I believe them until I actually question them and like, oh, like you remember that thing in I don't know, the new Mario game, like that new power up that you can, like, yeah, like, well, what'd you think about it? Thought it was cool. Or which part? When you got it, you stepped on the turtle with it. Like, okay, you don't. If you question them and they don't really seem to, and they don't understand or they don't get, they don't actually know the game even on kind of a basic level, then that's fine. If they don't, then it's like, okay, then they still don't know it. But I would believe anybody, man or woman, coming up to me and saying like, okay, I played video games before. It's like, okay, it's the most popular entertainment medium on the planet, so I don't really understand why people would be like, no, you don't. You don't understand. You're not in this age or gender demographic.
Well, Chobot has proven everybody wrong with her video game knowledge.
Oh, absolutely. She single-handedly she has saved the internet and video games integrity. It just in the core, everything, just everything.
And it all started with a lick of the PSP.
Very true. She. Licking this one small lick from a woman, one giant lick from mankind.
Amen.
So, thank you for the question, Transmoffer.
Mm-hmm. And last one here to wrap up the question segment here from Jack Burton.
Hello, Jack.
His question is, thoughts on the VGA Game of the Year nominees and The Walking Dead winning Game of the Year? Well, for the most part, mainly, I think the nominees for the most part were actually not too bad. There are some that I called into question, mainly the one with Emma Stone getting nominated for her performance in Sleeping Dogs, which wasn't terrible, but I think anyone could have done that role because she was only in it for like 15 minutes. Overall, I'm going to guess. I know she wasn't in it for an hour, so let's say that. So I call that into question, but that's really all about it. Oh. Everything else seemed pretty in the up and up. They also they had some sort of list too of I guess the quote unquote advisors of the VGAs too. Like they had some people from Destructoid and various websites and well known game journalists to decide the nominees, I guess.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So it wasn't completely, MTV-esque awards where it's the popular vote wins the awards.
Right.
Like Twilight for 3 years in a row winning the movie of the year.
Well, some people have just gone crazy, and like maybe it was just by circumstance they had the wrong titles for the voting just 3 years in a row. Maybe it's like, oh, here's, I don't know, like if you enjoyed like the Avengers, click write your vote here, or you like Twilight here. They just got the titles mixed up. It's like, people voted for Twilight over Avengers, so whatever. Yeah, but with Walking Dead winning Game of the Year, I am very, very happy that they won just because of, Telltale really put a lot of effort and work into this, and I love the writing in the series, and the characters are great. I love the progression. It was an emotional experience, and I like the fact that even though it wasn't, there were gun segments in there, but it wasn't gun crazy or gun heavy. It was more focused on dialogue, interactions, some puzzle solving, not a lot, but it was mostly focused on the interactions and the dynamic in the group that you had, which was kind of the driving force of everything. And so which really actually surprised me that everybody was just more than happy to nominate and appreciate it for Game of the Year. I'm once again, I'm not sure if it's the Game of the Year, but will say that it is definitely Game of the Year quality.
Oh yeah, that can be ignored from the things I've heard about, and I've even seen a couple of videos on it just for curiosity. It seems like a quality product that I can easily get behind, and it's not something that I'm upset about it winning or anything. It's good that at least it's getting recognition, and that goddamn Telltale Games has gone far from that Jurassic Park game.
They certainly have, and with the Jurassic Park game, the best part of that is going onto YouTube and watching the death montage.
Yeah, do they have a Wilhelm scream in there? I feel like that game is suited for Wilhelm scream.
For Walking Dead, I don't recall a Wilhelm scream. There might have been, but I don't recall. I think it's just like all voice actors screaming. Actually, no. You know what? I think there might have been a Wilhelm scream in there. There is one section where it's like, it happened really fast during kind of a very tense moment where I was like, okay, I got to focus on everything. But there might have been a Wilhelm scream thrown in there.
That might throw me for a loop if I was like in a high pressure situation and then I hear a Wilhelm scream. It's like, whoa, was that a Wilhelm scream? I'm trying to figure it out and just get killed because I was like too focused on trying to figure out whether it was a Wilhelm scream or not. That's the ultimate game trying to throw you off.
It was Walking Dead though. Putting it back all together, it is a great game, and frankly, although a lot of people are saying like, keep your saves, and this really isn't the end of the series. Like, if it just so happened to end with the ending that they have for this game, that would be fine. Like they could really just have ended it with episode 5, and then just have been happy with the ending of that.
I got my Mass Effect saves.
Yeah. For Mass Effect 4, man, like I assume that they're gonna have to do something if they make Mass Effect 4 a sequel. So it's like, okay, let's knock on wood and hope that people will get their saves.
Yeah, even if you've lost them, there's sites where you can completely edit a lot of all the choices and things you do or don't do in the Mass Effect games. So like this is like a whole drop down menu. Did you save or kill the Arachni? Yes or no, and things like that kind of cater to what you picked in the past games that we do end up losing those saves, which is pretty awesome. Some saves get corrupted, and that sucks.
Oh yeah, that's the worst when it's like, it's like Mass Effect 3, like, by the way, everything that you worked on for Mass Effect 1, like on the Mako, and just, having everything there, it's like, well, sorry, you're going to have to do everything all over again.
Yeah, that's not fun when those games are pretty lengthy.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely, and I hope that's not the case for Deus Ex Human Revolution, just because, dang it, I think I accidentally deleted that, so not going to,
Oh no.
I'm going to do that again.
Well, shit.
Well, shit, indeed. So yeah, thank you very much, Mr. Burton, and those are all the questions that we have.
Yeah, that's it. Thank you, everyone who took the time out to leave us a question there, and to me to remember to put up a post for this. That is fantastic. Thank you all.
Well. Thank you very much, Splinter, for putting up the questions post, and thank you everybody for sending us questions and being so supportive of us for all these 123 episodes. So if you are new to us or you haven't yet done it, go look for us on YouTube. We're also on iTunes under Blytham's Podcast. Please subscribe and go to audible.com/Blytham's for a free trial for Audible's audio audio library where you have an access to a huge variety of audiobooks, and where every month you get a free credit for an audiobook. Really, you have nothing to lose if you do so. And just follow us on Twitter. I am at CHGorog, and Splinter is at Splinter_49.
Oh,
That's Splinter_Gorog. That's probably somebody else. So you can follow him at Splinter_47.
Well, I'm not one to correct. That is incorrect.
Oh, what did I get wrong?
You're mixing your underscore with my.
No!
That's what.
Oh, damn it! I forgot. Okay, let me try it again. Okay.
All right.
You can follow us on Twitter.
Yes.
And I'm at CH_Gorog.
Yes.
And Splinter is at Splinter47.
Yes.
Yeah, that's right. Sons of guns, I did it.
Well, that's good. But even if we botched that one, we got all the goodness of info on the show notes with the iTunes link, and definitely the YouTube player that's attached to that. I think that's one of the better choices I've decided to make by posting the podcast on the good old YouTube. I think it's very accessible. I think compared to our past player, which was nothing wrong with it, but I think it's definitely the most accessible way of listening to the podcast, along with the iTunes as well. If you want to keep the archives of that, which is very flattering. I don't know how much gigabytes we have completely of the entire podcast we've done. That's probably a lot to fill a laptop, most likely. So, yes, that is the end of the podcast, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you all for listening and for submitting questions. Since we had that week off, that gave them plenty of time to think up of some good conundrums for us to answer.
Yes. Or any topics you would like us to discuss or get our opinions on. We'd love to talk about it, and we would love to hear from you.
Mm-hmm. Any feedback would be nice. So for episode 127, I'm Splinter47 signing off.
And I am CH to the Gorog Izzle with an underscore this time. Thank you very much for listening.
Peace out.
Bye-bye.